Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is October 14th, 2018. My name is Eric Peters, and joining me today, Mr. Dan Curtis.
Well, hello.
Well, hi.
Well, hi. How are you?
My eyes are a bit sore today.
It's the Mega Man show.
Do you smell something? It smells an awful lot like a Walmart bathroom.
And without further ado, that's me.
Mr. Piaces himself, Zach Foley.
Introducing the creator of Piss Eyes, once back more.
How do, everybody?
Every time I see the new Assassin's Creed, I just wish that the main character's name was Piaces.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity.
It definitely
really
is.
They should listen to more of this show.
The greatest Greek hero of all time.
There's still time for a DLC pack.
Yeah. No more paid DLC, and we want piss eyes.
It's Piaces.
Pissius.
Imagine if something on a skill tree was unlocking Piss Eyes.
It's like Medusa, but worse.
Yeah, it's all your experience points and no benefit whatsoever, because that is the worst superpower imaginable.
Hey, Medusa's in that game, so that could be the power you get from her, so... I like it.
It's like Kratos. He shoots the Medusa shit out of his own eye. No, he holds the head up. But anyways, it's the same concept.
Yeah, I mean, he exudes rage. Pissius exudes just urine.
Piaces.
I like Pissius.
That's his son.
Piaces.
Piaces and Pissius. There's a song in there somewhere if Dancy Gilbert's listening.
Have you met my wife, Excrementius?
Excrementia.
I'm glad you went with the shit, not the blood joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going down that route again.
Menstratia?
Oh, there we go.
Went there. Oh, gentlemen.
Hello.
Enter cousin Ejaculara.
They're not the people that live on Mount Olympus. They're the ones off in the distance, just on the border. They're like the distant hillbilly cousin of Greece.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of banjo playing in that.
Well, hi there. I'm Pissius.
It's
ding,
not
ding, 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 ding.
It's not a mountain. It's a hill.
It's Vesuvius. Oh, goodness gracious. How is everybody?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
Jack, what have you been up to since we last talked? I mean, well, you and I have talked more recently, but everybody else...
Blinded any more children?
No, I have not been hurting children. I did hurt the neighbor's cat this morning on a hungover run. I managed to throw up on the neighbor's cat or their very hairy, senile grandfather. I'm not sure which.
And
I'm expecting
sick on me again.
I'm expecting a knock at the door any minute. It's going to be great.
Just send the kids down there. Take one for daddy.
Zach, are you just in like a perpetual state of being wanted by the authorities?
It's possible. My neighbors do bring it on themselves. My brother-in-law came over the other day and parked in front of her house, and my neighbor backed out of her driveway into his car and then came over to my house and yelled at me about where he parked. And I was like, but wait, you're the one who can't drive. I don't.
You hit my car and it's my fault?
Yeah, no, sorry.
So you thought you would get your own back by being sick on their cat?
Yep. Fuck them.
Costs less
Have
than
sprinkles
insurance
like,
money.
Oh, come here, Tiddles. Let me stroke your back. Me feel a bit soggy today, Tiddles.
his name's not Sparkles anymore.
It smells like a mixture of old burritos and urine.
Why does this cat smell of cheese? And scotch.
A formidable combination.
Hey,
Should rename that cat Butterscotch.
at least you got out of the house in
Or
an
possibly cheese scotch.
I did.
in an
I
effort
run
to become less people.
I run most mornings at 5 so I can come back to bed and sleep from 6 to 7 and forget it ever happened. I find that's the best exercise method available to me.
Was that a dream?
Because, well, like my wife is very much into running and exercise, and I've got a lot of friends that are just very outdoorsy and, want to do that. Like, I like going for a hike. I like going out to see things and do things. But to go out and exercise arbitrarily sounds a lot to me like more time I could be playing video games. So,
I agree.
Just everybody that comes up to me and is like, oh, you've been running for like a couple months now. Do you feel great? Like, no, it sucks. Absolutely. Every time I do it, it's just worse. Oh, God, it's awful. Oh, well, have
Keep
fun
going.
then.
Then you get the people that start doing the marathons.
Oh, man, you folks that do marathons, God love you, because you've got way more patience for your constantly decomposing body than I do.
See, I did 3. I guess they're classified as like mega marathons. They're relay marathons, and I blew out my hips as a result. So fuck those.
Yeah.
You're
Also,
just falling apart.
Oh my god,
Also-
am I?
also for the astute, he managed to work in Mega there. If you didn't,
I
hear-
know.
hear
I
Mega.
heard.
It-
I
it
heard
did.
that. I
just-
didn't want to mention Zach. Shut up, please.
Yeah, I know.
Stop.
I
Please
know.
stop.
It's
I know.
Stop.
it's starting,
So-
folks.
Dan and I have made an agreement. If he gets out of control, we both have tranquilizers and blowguns. He's going down.
It's gonna be like putting down just a really horny rhino.
Yeah. At the end of the show, it's just going to close with.
I just have visions of him on the ground, like he seems unconscious. Then he just suddenly leaps up and goes, "Mega Man!" and then just collapses.
It's my defibrillator. Burger word.
Where are Mega Mike and Thomas?
So I think Mega Yam is moving for like the 6th time in the past 3 months.
Well, he's doing well over in Canada, isn't he?
Well, he finally got a job, the friggin' bum.
Oh my
I know,
god!
right?
I know.
He's a working Canadian. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I know. I know he's like super rich and has all these Jeeveses and stuff. But come on, Tom.
I think Mike is. Fuck, I have no
jacking it?
idea. I have zero clue. Maybe he's at another wedding or he's in another weird island that sounds like a sports car. Tigadabo?
The Seat Smoothmobile.
The
It's
Seat Mallorca.
I don't know. Maybe I think he's at a wedding again.
It's Mike.
After
Mike's
Mike
anniversary,
Tyson
isn't it?
managed to somehow break the soundproof of the Seat Lanzarote, we bring you the new Seat Tenerife.
It is Mike and Hazel's first anniversary. Is it today or was it yesterday?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was a
because
year ago.
I got a
What
picture.
better way to celebrate than talking nonsense with us?
I
Exactly.
know. I think I got a reminder of a year ago you were sitting on Dan's lap or something like that on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was terrifying.
No, you liked it.
Who was it that swapped our heads round?
As somebody who stayed in a hotel with Eric, I don't need to hear more about this story. I don't.
As somebody who's also stayed in a hotel with Eric and experienced the full brunt of his rabbit pie farts,
Oh, yeah.
I never want to experience it again.
See,
But now you're
Zach
going
at
into
least
the
had.
devil's nest. You're going to his house. I mean, like, how do you think that's going to work? He's
Yeah,
going to eat
yeah,
asparagus
but he's
and
not
chili.
Having rabbit pie, that's not happy. Rabbit pie does something to this man, and I don't know what it is.
See, at least Zach had the common decency to keep all of his wonderful emissions under his blanket and then just describe to us how it was slowly killing him.
You did for a while, and then you're like, "Oh, I'll just open this hatch."
I moved my foot.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh God, my eyes are still burning to this day. So, as lovely as Mike and Hazel's wedding was, which it was a very nice time. We had a real good, loads of fun. But that night was shit because Eric just had this rabbit pie, and then I don't know what was coming out of the other end, but it didn't smell good. And then to top it off, the next morning, because we were next to sodding Lincoln Cathedral,
Fuck that thing.
the loudest alarm clock in the world, this bloody bell tower going off.
It's like every 7 minutes, too.
I know, it was ridiculous.
I fully expected to get up and walk around town and ask people, like, yeah, does that annoy you? And hear them go, yeah, that's fucking awful. And they're like, no, we love it. How do you love that?
You won't after a night with rabbit pie, man.
Well, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, are you supposed to just like lean out the window like, damn it, Jesus, really? I mean, that's not like a thing.
I like the depth perception of that conversation. That was beautiful, Zach. You should be professional.
Oh, then he can't be on this show.
Very true.
Yeah.
So,
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're inching up on the Factory Sealed Invades Phoenix.
It is coming up.
3 months away, ish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Arizonans beware.
and we just bought our WWE tickets.
What?
We did. I'm very excited for it.
That was a shit
Not as
show.
excited
just to
as
try to
Mike.
get those.
I thought it would sell out pretty quickly.
Yeah, but
I'm surprised how close to the event they do it, actually. I thought it would be like last year or something.
well, we could have bought them third party and paid 10 times the cost.
Yeah, you got a good deal on the end, I feel.
Done got a good deal.
I really feel like people don't own up to how much they like wrestling, because for tickets that cost like hundreds of dollars per pop, there's a lot of people, like, when they look around at the socioeconomic climate of my neighborhood, it's fairly middle to high end, and nobody admits they go to wrestling. I'm like, but somebody's buying these tickets, and lots of them.
I don't know why people won't admit they're going to wrestling. It's good fun.
I have zero interest whatsoever. I'm going simply because I think it'll be fun to be drunk and yell. I'll have zero clue.
That.
Yeah, I'll have zero clue what's going on.
I am going to take a sign of Eric's head, which I will hold up proudly.
Just my head.
Just
Eric,
your head.
Eric, you don't have
As
the hair on
big
your
as
balls.
possible.
What's that?
Eric, you don't have the hair on your balls unless you wear that salmon-colored factory sealed shirt to that show. I want to see that on TV.
No, I think we're going to actually make factory sealed WWE shirts with all of us in various wrestling maneuvers with our faces photoshopped onto them
Excellent.
in salmon color.
In salmon color. That's the important part.
Nobody
Let
has
us
a
know
choice.
your interest on the Facebook community, please.
It'll be
I
like
feel like you got enough comments about that at MoCon that it needs to happen at the wrestling show.
I like that color. The color was nice.
Yeah, it's very soothing,
It
relaxing.
accentuated my skin tone.
Tell us how it makes you feel. Use your words.
So nifty.
It makes me feel the cure.
Oh, so cute.
It's gonna be like when you go to Disney World and you see this family or like a field trip and everybody has the same obnoxious shirt on that's the same color and has this big lettering all over it so people can find each other. That's gonna be us at WWE. You'll be able to see us up in the rafters in our obnoxious salmon shirts.
Can we get you a T-shirt with your head on? So you're just wearing your head.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But you all need to have an Eric's head shirt on. That way when people ask you if you're together, you can be like, nope.
I fully plan on getting
Don't know who this guy is.
I fully plan on getting blankets of my face made for when everybody's here and that's all they can use to sleep with.
That's fine.
Or the best of Dan's photoshopping, like the old-timey one.
I think my favorite one was the one when you're in the bumper car with the bear.
I think you need to put the browsers one in the bathroom for other purposes. I'm just saying.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I think we need to talk about the Eric's head Photoshop competition.
That got out of control real quick.
Yeah, and it didn't. That had the momentum just kept going. It was crazy.
I know. I think we awoke something in Jeremy Sanford, and I don't think it's healthy.
It's stirring in his loins.
I'm pretty sure it's not getting shut off, whatever that is.
It's like when a boy goes through puberty.
I had a bit of a problem, but Jeremy's got a chronic.
And the speed at which he would put them out, I'd post a new picture, and then very first comment, be like, can't stop, won't stop, and it's a picture of my head on that picture. I like how Jason McGill recently posted something saying this community has done something to me because on just his normal everyday Facebook feed, he was scrolling through and saw an old-timey picture, black and white, of somebody in an iron lung, and he immediately starts scanning it, looking for my face.
You're so welcome.
The factory sealed sociological project is in full swing.
Phase 1 complete.
Phase 2, figure out how to make profit.
Yeah, we haven't got that far yet.
No.
We've got the having fun part down. Now we just got to figure out how to make money. But then it becomes a job, and then there's ads involved.
Yeah. See, there needs to be either a lottery win or one of you needs to get a sugar daddy. I'm just saying. That's
Tom, you're up.
Tom is the sugar daddy.
that's well. I don't know if he's got the money to cover the liability insurance for you. I'm not. That's.
Tom has all of the money.
That's true. Anyway, the Photoshop contest, Dan, go. You were talking. You were saying.
I think we covered it.
I don't think we did.
It was pretty excellent in terms of just sheer amount of content everybody put in, and I feel like everybody. I don't feel like there was anybody that kind of took the lazy way out. Everybody really thought about it, so I was impressed, and I was just participating.
It amazes me how well Eric's head fits into any situation. It's just fascinating. I don't understand. It's just amazing.
I have so many different expressions.
There's an Eric facial expression for any situation you can possibly need. It's amazing. For those who aren't on the Facebook community, this contest was just absolutely hilarious. I started doing this a while back, just photoshopping Eric's head into vintage pictures, things like that. But we decided to open it up to the community as a means of winning a game. I'm not going to mention what game it is.
Mega Man!
Oh,
No.
God.
11.
Oh, God, it starts.
Mega Man 11.
Jesus,
It's what we
so
did.
early for that.
Get it?
Honestly, everybody who entered, I was just creased laughing for the last 3 weeks or so. It was just brilliant.
One of my favorites, because of how it actually took me a second to figure out what he did, was when Chad Hager posted his. He's like, yeah, I just kind of threw this together really quick, and I'm looking at it going, maybe he uploaded the wrong thing. And he just took the Mega Man 11 title screen and then the picture of me where I was laying all sexily on the Jeep and turned them vertical and put me in that pose over the 11. Brilliant.
It was brilliant.
It was all very.
I really liked Santos Lopez's weather map one.
Let me tell you all about Mega Man.
And the one where it was the Mega Man title screen, but I can't remember who did it. Sorry, but your face was just photoshopped in the background like a giant moon. It was just genius.
The two winners were, of course, off the chain good.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the Matty Hallmark one just knocked it out of the park. He threw that in with 30 minutes left on the timer, and you know that whole Nike, if you believe in something. Even if it means sacrificing everything, just do it. And he took that and kind of coupled in Dan's recent argument of, well, Mega Man can't even shoot up, and just has a picture of my face looking super dumb. Believe in something, even if it means you can't shoot up. Just Mega Man. Brilliant.
Oh, so good.
So congratulations, Matty, you were our first winner, but we had to give one to the king of the Eric Photoshop. I will give my crown to this guy because Jeremy Sanford just knocked it out the park. He was just relentless with his entries.
Oh man, but his Tyrone Bigham's just so funny.
Good.
Y'all got any more of them Mega Mans?
I'm pretty sure that with the content of today's show, almost every one of those meme/emblematic states of being are going to be demonstrated by Eric.
Oh God,
I can hear him vibrating from here. It's crazy.
I'm already getting excited because we've said his name a few times.
I know. I can feel how much you've woke up already
There's a
compared to how you were during your nap.
There's a stirring in my loins. It's like going through puberty all over again. Or for the first time.
Yeah, so great job, everybody, on the contest.
So we actually are oh God, I can't. This is my favorite time of year because we do contests galore. We are working on a prize for our annual straddling contest because that has to be an annual thing. I feel like the first year it was meh. Last year it really started to gain some ground, but I feel like we finally inundated with enough people the whole concept of straddling that we'll get some good entries this year.
I think so, yes.
I'm
Do you know
personally
what was a
nervous.
really good contest as well that we haven't done again? The one where you had to recreate a scene from your favorite video
Oh
game.
God, yes. What were you saying, Zach?
Oh no, I was just saying, like, I'm actually nervous about the competition this year. I'm gonna have to straddle an actual fucking tiger. It's crazy how good they were last year.
So the goal is we're going to try to secure another PlayStation Classic because the last two we've done straddling contests for the NES Mini and then the Super Nintendo Mini, but I want to try to get one of the PlayStation Minis and do straddling contest for that. So there's a strong chance that'll be happening. So start thinking about or maybe even preload your straddling thoughts. So
Just drive round your neighbourhood scouting for large sculptures. That's generally the way forward.
just wait for the group straddling picture on Cock Rock up in Carefree.
Oh, spoilers! You shouldn't have told
We've
people.
already talked about it.
I'm all right. That's fine.
I see how many phallic references I can work into this one. I think it's going to be hard to beat the cock rock shot. Balls in your mouth hard.
What else were we gonna mention?
Ooh,
Mike's favorite time of year.
Oh my goodness! So since we're on that, everybody knows that Mike is a huge fan of Christmas.
Just biggest.
Proper Crimbo. They actually
Proper
call
Crimbo.
him Santa Mike Tyson.
Boxing legend Santa Mike Tyson.
Yeah. So he absolutely loves Christmas. And as a result, he's going to become our Christmas mascot. This year, I think it's appropriate now. We've had a couple people ask me. We are working on a plan to do a Factory Seal Community Secret Santa. So I am going to be publishing details about that probably in the coming week. I just need to iron some stuff out and make sure that all the deets...
Like his salmon pink factory sealed shirt.
Shut up! I like it. Screw you guys.
Salmon.
Every shirt that ever gets released from Factory Sealed from now on is going to be salmon.
Well,
no other
there's no
choice.
sales.
It's vagina red.
Hey,
Just saying.
it doesn't have all the power in the world for no reason.
It's boxing legend Santa Mike Tyson red.
Just anger and seethe.
What's that in the distance? Is it the sound of a bus?
Beep, beep. Oh man, speaking of beep beep, my youngest has now adopted that as her phrase of choice for saying get out of the way.
Excellent.
She doesn't have
Excellent.
like full sentences, but she just like if for some reason one of our cats gets on the counter and it really agitates her, so she'll just walk up to her and go, "Want beep? Want beep? Want beep?" and like just really wind herself out. So she just says, "Want beep." Something's in the way.
Oh, I thought you were saying what beep?
No, want beep.
Because we know your other daughter had an issue with saying what.
Move. Beep.
Mainly
Get
because
up.
I
What
had it
does
as
the
my
dog say? What does the dog say? Woof. What does Dan say? What?
I did train her for that.
It was brilliant.
Well, because I had that as my text message ringtone for the longest time.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So she'll probably be telling, if you guys are in Amelia's way, she'll probably be telling you she wants beep, and that means move or die. And she'll do it to the cat. She'll just push on him like, want beep? And then the cats will bite her and she'll go, ow, want beep? So I think I'm going to make her a shirt that says got beep.
Excellent.
With EAP, of course.
Yeah, beep.
Yeah.
Beep, beep.
And
Tom-
Chad on the little car.
I
Yeah.
can't believe it's been a whole year since all that happened.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
I feel like we have. I feel like that wasn't that long ago.
And Eric, 1 year later, I'm still waiting for that sodding Alka-Seltzer to kick in.
Well, I tell you what. Maybe it's because as soon as you cross out of American borders, it deactivates. I'm not sure.
Maybe it might kick in when I land. You never know.
Oh God, could you imagine? You'll feel great.
And I'll be full of the joys of life.
You'll feel absolutely great.
I feel fantastic, and the winters are so lovely. He was right.
That is that is my goal. This trip is to get Dan to admit that winters in Arizona are amazing.
Yeah, you have to shrink that down to Arizona because there's plenty of parts of America where winters suck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll love it, Dan. It's going to be like a balmy 65, gorgeous.
Yeah,
the sun will be
not
out.
bad.
There'll actually be more than 6 houses within view.
I don't like that. Too many people.
We'll just put horse blinders on you when you walk out.
Nobody sends you a telegram.
The town hall isn't a decommissioned World War II airplane hangar.
They don't refer to movies as talkies. There's no
duck,
town.
There's no duck pond.
No town bonfire either, though, so that is a minus.
Yeah,
Your
November
old
the 5th.
friend.
It's coming up. It's like the purge. You just have to lock your doors and hope it's not you.
Yeah, but see, you're fine though because you're under 100.
It's true.
See, I'm playing against the system.
Yeah.
Now, Zach, I'll give you this material for this week. We recently discovered that there's somewhere near Het, which is called Het Mill. So there's another Het.
There's a differentiated
That's
Het?
where they
Oh,
grind
fantastic.
up the bodies and turn them into bread and sell back to Het.
That's where the building material comes from, all the fiber from the dead bodies.
My lovely other half, Crystal, decided last week it would be a brilliant idea to go and explore the local area around Het. So we went. There's a sign which said Het Mill, so we thought we'll walk towards that. And then we ended up at a level crossing for a train. we were stuck there.
Of course you did.
We were stuck there for 20 minutes.
Watching a train go by.
Watching 4 trains go past. It's like I could have ran over that 1,000,000 times by the time the next train came. And then, after that, we finally got over there, discovered that there is actually nothing at Het Mill, to our eternal shock, and then with the train thing, it came down again. So we're like, right, we're not going to wait 20 minutes. So we thought, and then there was a little thing which said public footpath. So we thought, oh, we'll follow that. We'll end up back at Het. 2 hours later, we got back.
You know, there's like a train engineer's map that says Het stop and like just no right next to it. It just
It says speed up.
There's no stop. They go zooming straight past. Believe me.
the only refuel stop here is for steam. They consider it a new technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your left, we are now traveling through the past.
Note the duck pond and bonfire.
Well, hi there, train people. We're just burning Clive.
And occasionally, boxing legend Mike Tyson.
In his Santa outfit.
Queuing for the Christmas window.
Prep your
So if anybody out there, and I'm thinking, when I say anybody, I mean you, Dan C. Gilbert, you need to do a Christmas Mike Tyson song.
I feel like there needs to be a pilgrimage to Het. Like, that's the true, like, you get some community badge or something like that. I mean, sure, you'll never make it out, but...
It's 100% worth it.
We get there and Dan's just like, no, this is how I ended up here. You can't leave.
We thought we'd just come here and get some toilet paper one day because we heard it was cheaper. And we just moved in.
Meanwhile, Harry Mason wanders past and asks if they've seen Cheryl.
It's like the
Welcome
village.
to Silent Het.
Have you heard about our Het Fun Days?
We burn people.
Have you heard about our fun days? They're dead.
Oh, goodness.
So that's all the latest from Het.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Excellent.
Zach, have you added any new gems to your collection recently?
Yeah, actually, I picked up a Virtual Boy because I hate myself. I
And in
didn't.
the Blockbuster box too.
Yeah, this has been a long time sort of bucket list item for me because I knew I was going to pay for it, but I wanted very specifically one with the Blockbuster box because I thought it was very James Bond at the time that they came out, despite the Virtual Boy sucking all kinds of dick. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic little thing, and I say that I hate myself because I did not take into account how much money it's going to cost me over the rest of my life to collect actual Virtual Boy games.
Aren't there only like 11?
There's 14, and they all
Oh my
start at about
God.
$100.
Yep. Well, and not too long ago, they were all real cheap. I remember when I was working at GameStop, one of our really good customers always threw game night parties. And he collected a bunch of stuff, and we all kind of pooled together and gave him a Virtual Boy with every game, and it didn't really cost us all that much.
Yeah, it is a neat little thing just to play with, not for long because your corneas will burn right out of your skull. But it's it's kind of a neat little collector's thing to have. I sort of justify it as it goes on the same shelf with like the Power Glove. It's just a piece of gaming history, but
Yep.
it it's been a long time coming, and it wasn't cheap, but I feel like I got a really good deal on it.
Yeah.
I talked the guy down quite a bit.
I only got it for 3 legs instead of 2.
Yeah,
I'll give you $1.
I had 4 kids, one of
Dan,
those.
you would be the worst video game collector in the world.
No, I wouldn't, because I get them really cheap. I'm persistent.
No, but then you'd find something that's super rare, sealed, and you're like, I had to use my ceremonial opening sword.
Oh, yeah. You gotta.
And then just plummet the value of it. Well, I wanted to play it. Well,
Yeah, because you always sell those games that you collect all the time.
who knows?
You never will. Ever.
You're right.
Hey, never say
I
never.
know I'm right.
I sold a green label Castlevania Symphony of the Night the other day, and
Ugh.
that was just because I got the black label one.
I might
Zach,
actually
but
do
you're
that.
Not, you're not him. He will not do it.
Yeah, he might
He
sell his
won't.
green labels.
I
know
might
what he's
sell my
like.
Green
He
Label
won't.
Mega Man X4.
Even if Eric has something he's collecting which is like not rare at all, he probably won't open it and keep it on his shelf forever.
Well, that's why he has all those valuable Pogs and.
Hell
Beanie
yeah.
Babies.
Those Pogs are going to be worth someday, just like my Beanie Babies.
That's right.
You actually just sent me a sealed game not too long ago, Zach.
Did I? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
Baroque.
my Baroque that didn't make me go Baroque. Yeah.
Oh, get it, Dan?
Oh, so funny!
I've been
Such a bad joke. Mike should have said it.
It didn't have any opticians in it.
No, I got a super good deal. I found a guy with a case of those, and it was a 14 count case, I think. And he sold it to me for $100. They were all sealed. So you got one, I got one, and then actually I did just keep one.
And
then
I got fuck all.
Sorry, bud. I sold the 12 that were left for $300.
Yeah. See, there you go.
So that's how I justified buying the Virtual Boy.
It's an interesting game. I only remember playing a little bit of it when it first came out.
I've never heard of it.
It's it's like a dungeon crawler style RPG, but you control a character who has amnesia. Back when amnesia in video games was a big thing, and you're kind of going through this randomly generated tower. I kind of liken it to a little bit of Azure Dreams, where none of the levels are going to be the same. You're just kind of plodding your way through this tower. But it's kind of cookie cutter dungeon crawler RPG style game, but I remember liking it. But now that it's sealed, I guess I'll never actually play it unless I find another opened copy and buy that one.
Which you will still not play.
I probably won't. Let's see. I
So-
picked what?
I was just gonna. You go ahead if you're still talking about that.
No, I'm not.
All right. I was just gonna say, Mike, give us a little recommendation yesterday on WhatsApp for a new game that's just come out for the Switch and Steam called The Messenger, which is actually really, really good. Particularly if you like retro games. It's kind of like if Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania had a baby.
Oh, ho, ho.
Ooh, Zach,
Wow.
something felt.
Oh, those are two games I could talk about. Like,
Good
you're
lord, my
talking about
pants
Mega
just
Man.
got bigger.
I feel funny in my places.
So
Tell
it's
me
a
about this.
2D
I've
kind of
become another person.
side-scrolling. You're a you're a ninja, and it's like a 2D side scroll. But apparently, it has a big twist halfway through, which I'm not going to spoil, because a review spoiled it for me, and I was furious. But it's just really really fun, and the levels are really interesting. It's got some really good mechanics. Like there's a thing called Cloud Step, where if you attack somebody in midair, you can jump again. And it's like really slick movement, and it has a really good sense of humor as well. Like there's a shopkeeper who takes the piss out of you all the time and things like that.
I tell you what, I was watching a video of this and was thinking about this modern push towards making games in the style of 8-bit games, and it got me thinking about these style of games that we play now are how I imagined the games I was playing back in the 80s.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
You know, there's a little bit
I
of...
love this 8-bit aesthetic for games. I think it's fantastic. I think it works so well. When people have this modern twist on it as well, I just think it's so good.
Yeah, you're able to do a lot more with the sprites and the mechanics than you were on the old consoles.
I mean, I loved Axiom Verge, which is basically Metroid.
Yeah,
So
I got
played
a
it.
physical release of that for Switch and played the shit out of it. That's a great game.
I should probably get around to that one.
That
But I won't.
and yeah, I think too, you know, the people that are still making those games, you know, it's not just back in the 80s, these style, you know, the sort of shmuppish adventure action style games like Mega Man, like
Say what? Who? Huh?
Castlevania. Yeah, I know.
Huh?
God.
I heard it. I heard it.
Ah,
Tranquilizer gun ready.
you know. But you know, I think this was the only real option for a lot of game developers. But now the people that are making these are the ones that love them, that, you know, intentionally set out to create something like this. So I think you get a higher quality. And, you know, and I have to say it again and again and again. I know it gets mentioned a lot on the show, and I give you Hollow Knight, which is one of the finest examples of a Metroidvania style game.
See, and I
It's
just
so good.
couldn't get into that game.
It's not easy because it's got the sort of storytelling mechanic of like a Dark Souls, and certainly
Yeah.
the difficulty. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who says like, "Oh, I want to try a Metroidvania style game." But if they are your jam, you're doing yourself a disservice by not playing Hollow Knight.
See,
It
and
is an
that's like
excellent game.
it's a style of game that I really want to enjoy, and every time I play it, I'm like, I just don't enjoy this, and I just kind of plod through it.
But you
So-
loved Salt and Sanctuary.
Yeah, because that was more Dark Souls than Metroidvania.
It was totally Metroidvania,
Yeah.
It was 2D side-scrolling Dark Souls.
but
Speaking
also
of which,
Metroidvania.
doesn't
I
it get a
love
physical release?
Metroidvania is one of my favorite genres of video games.
You
love
don't say. I guarantee
Yeah.
your top games of the year will consist of entirely 2D Metroidvania games this year.
them. We got God of War and Spider-Man.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
bested.
I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's just because there's replayability in them to a degree that, I mean, I've said it before, I'm the one that can play Castlevania to the 205% or whatever it is, and then immediately restart it because there's such good content, but it's got great replayability. And I think that's what really kind of keeps me playing games like that.
Have you played Guacamelee, Zach?
It was one of those that I picked up and played and immediately went, I need to come back and play it. I just haven't had a chance yet.
Real
And I know
good.
that's
You should play
bad
it.
because it's like 10 years later, but my backlog is insane.
I know
and
the
I-
feeling.
And I try and keep current with things like it. And I'll give you an example of that. I was somewhat jazzed about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I went, yeah, I really want to play that. So now I'm playing Assassin's Creed Origins from last year because I feel like I have to play that before I play the other one. That's about how
I
backlogged
don't
I
really
am.
follow on that much.
See, I
it's
keep
fine.
telling myself I want to pick up Assassin's Creed or the new Call of Duty or something. I'm like, yeah, but oh god, Red Dead comes out in a week.
Oh,
Oh
That's-
god, so many horses.
yeah. I can't even quantify the number of hours that I played Grand Theft Auto, the last one, like without using high level math or like symbology. It's a crazy, like you have to measure it in the amount of distance light travels in a minute. I played so much fucking Grand Theft Auto. So the concept of giving me like Westworld ostensibly is awesome.
Yeah,
It
I,
combines
I
my two
love how
favorite things.
Rockstar doesn't really have to hype Red Dead Redemption too much. They know they don't have to do a whole lot. They've kind of been radio silent until recently and done a couple of trailers, but that's all they need.
The thing
And
with
it'll sell
them
like
though is
crazy.
that they don't have to. People just know that their game is going to be stellar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
They
Red
don't
Dead
need to hype it.
Rockstar is like that girlfriend that you have in college that's really hot that doesn't pay you too much attention, but just every time she calls, you're like, yeah. She knows. She knows. She's got you.
Oh, speaking of super hot girls, I started playing a 3DS game that I think everybody here owes it to themselves to play.
It's not the Mega Man collection, is it?
Oh Christ.
No, this one actually not. Well, I have been playing a lot of that, but we'll get to that in a minute. Corpse Party.
Oh yeah.
Let me give you a snippet of dialogue between two Japanese schoolgirls. So, backstory of this is a bunch of kids are at a school and they're getting ready to go home, and one of them says, "Hey, let's do this little seance that keeps us best friends forever." And they make this little doll, and they all have to grab onto it and then tear it, so they each get a piece of it, and then say this little phrase exactly 9 times for however many people are there. So there's 9 people, they have to say it 9 times. If anybody messes it up, they get plummeted into the underworld forever. Well, of course somebody messes it up, and you have to go through trying to find your friends, and all this scary spooky shit is happening. The game itself is fantastic. If you play it, you have to play it with headphones because the audio is just incredible. But here is an exchange between 2 girls. One girl named Seiko, and I don't remember the other girl's name. But anyway, Seiko looks at
Was
her
it
friend.
Casio?
What's that?
Was it Casio?
It might have been. Looks at her and goes, "Do you have any of that ass medicine on you by any chance? You know, that smeary stuff." And you go, "Well, yeah, I do." Seiko goes, "Thanks. I'm going to go butter up my pooper with it real good. Yep, my butt's been drier in the desert since we got here." This is a horror
And
game, mind you.
Interesting.
I've logged onto eBay and purchased it already. That sounds excellent.
Done and done. It's actually a phenomenal game. Very, very spooky. It actually started out as a RPG Maker title that was then expanded upon.
Man, people produce some great stuff with RPG Maker.
Yeah. This thing
For
was...
a tool that I had no possibility of ever using to its fullest. I laud it copiously.
I made an RPG town at one point where you'd walk in and talk to the shopkeeper, and she said
Mega
something
Man.
disgusting about her time of the month, and I laughed and never turned it on again. Because of the amount of effort it took just to do that. Like, I don't want to learn rules and variables and all that shit.
Yeah, I have no patience for that, which is ironic. Well, anyway, it's just one of those. I can't get my ideas articulated that well. And I think it's really all about, when you go to like a game theory or a game design class, they tell you that right up front. Most people who go into game design are very good at one very specific thing. And it's about learning to use that very specific thing towards somebody else's vision. There's very few people that can sort of map out that whole concept. And most of the time they have it mapped out in their head. And their biggest challenge is to put it down on paper or into the tools that are necessary to kind of get it built and designed. So I'm definitely one of those people that I think if I were to be doing that, I would be good at one very specific thing.
I'd be good at making a game that makes no sense.
It'd be called Pooper Cream.
Pooper Cream, and it stars Mega Man. He just bends over and shoots turds out of his butt.
He gets the pooper cannon from Pooper Man.
Yeah, the Mega Poop.
We're never far away from some poop on this show, are we?
Or Mega Man.
Poop and dick jokes. That's why I fit in so well here.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about what's going on with the PlayStation Network and the malicious messaging thing?
Sure.
So
If you
yeah,
get a message from somebody called XX underscore I love Mega Man underscore XX, don't answer because he will talk to you about Mega Man forever.
yeah.
That's
So
not me.
Mike posted about this earlier today, and it's a thing. I've not experienced it myself, but I have heard it firsthand from somebody who did. And basically, if you've gotten this message, it's too late. It's a message that contains a character that doesn't exist in the sort of Sony language library. But the effect of you receiving this message, since it doesn't know how to display the character, is it basically soft bricks your PlayStation 4 and makes it unusable. And there is no way to undo it at this point.
See, and I was reading the only way people have been able to undo it is to log in using the mobile app or the browser app, and you can
Yeah,
delete
I
the message that way.
Yeah, I think that works. And I this is all sort of from last night, so it's still evolving. This is one of those things where I think that works if you haven't turned on your PlayStation. But if you have, you don't have an option to do that. So the
That's
advice,
bullshit. I'm not turning on my
yeah.
PlayStation now.
Well, the advice from sort of Sony at this point is to go in either through the PlayStation app on your phone or through the browser and turn on your privacy settings so that you either only receive messages from friends or from no one until they can figure out how to get this resolved. And that will fix it. Unless you have just a ton of people on your friends list that you don't know or trust that well, or you just kind of ad hoc people as it goes. But that is the sort of solution until this gets worked out. And I'm sure they'll work something out, but I don't know how easy that'll be or how long it'll take. So just wanted to throw that out there. It may be worth it to go ahead and install that PlayStation app on your phone this morning.
I just don't understand, like, what the hell do people get out of doing something like this?
Jobs in a lot of cases because they're security people that are trying to express security vulnerabilities. And I'm not saying it's always sort of altruistic like that. There are a ton of assholes out there, but a lot of people do it as sort of a job interview. And I'm not saying that's the right way to go about it either.
Hmm.
But a lot of people just, it's that want to see the world burn.
I
And it's
guess.
just an annoying first world problem, but it is an annoying first world problem when you think, like some kid's going to log on and get that today.
Yeah.
And that really sucks for them.
Well, it sucks more for the parents who then will probably end up having to buy another PlayStation for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping there's a way to, once Sony adds that character to go in and say, okay, well, we're just going to delete all messages across our system and that should really fix it. But they haven't said anything. And I think partially that's because it happened over a weekend.
Speaking of Sony, too, they finally have buckled on changing your PSN ID, sort of.
Excellent.
So they've announced that
That's
they're working on a program where you can change it, but unlike Xbox, it will not be universally changed. So any game developed after they implement the change, yeah, it'll support the name change. But there's a little caveat with it that if you change your PSN ID, some older games that you play may not support that and may cause massive issues. So in order to resolve that, you can change it back to your original ID to play those games. But then if you want to change it back again to play something else, you'd have to pay again. So it's just this method of, okay, do you want to take a chance in not being able to play a bunch of old games just to get rid of your stupid XXX Sniper Wolf 360 no scope headshot username?
this is the whole thing just smacks of the biggest problem that I have with Sony right now is that they're sitting at the top, and that means that all change is resisted because they're doing so well.
Yeah,
Um,
don't
that,
fix what's not broken.
yeah, that smacks of corporate greed right there. It takes nothing on the back. No person is ever going to touch your record to change a PlayStation ID. There's not huge amounts of programming, and either they're not talking to the right people about changing stuff. I mean, you're talking about an ID in a game. This shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Well, I read one thing too about what if you are account 1 and you switch your name to account 2 and then somebody else signs up and names it account 1. Do they suddenly now get access to all of your information because they created something in the same name? Because of the way that the PSN database is set up, they'd have to add unique tags to that. And then if you become that if somebody else creates your previous username, would it associate all of your old information with that tag? So it's essentially, I guess from a technical standpoint, restructuring their entire database.
Yeah.
So does it free up that name, or does it still get locked?
Which would be real
case you
dumb
wanna
if it
switch
got
it back.
locked.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a thing though, because you said that you could always switch back to the old name. So now
Yeah,
every
I think
user
it
is
gets
taking
locked.
up to 2 names. That's just the whole thing is. I agree. I think that's probably a pretty big change on their side. But when you're a video game company and your job is to sell consoles, like those are the type of quality of life things that you better figure out because your competition is doing it quicker,
Well,
better, and
Microsoft's
faster.
been doing it since the first Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, and not for nothing. Yeah, I'm sure they'll come out and capitalize on that somehow and say like, look how easy it is to do on Xbox, and they're right because they're focused on stuff like that.
And then
See,
there's
hasn't
Nintendo
Sony
over
just-
there just
Sony-
drooling.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sony's just got a new guy in charge, so maybe he's doing some changes.
Hope so.
Let's hope.
Because I mean, look how long it took them to finally admit like, yeah, crossplay is a thing, and hey, you should be able to download certain types of PlayStation Now games. Like those are no-brainer decisions. Like the first time anybody complained about that and didn't want to spend the $20 a month, you should say like, yeah, we should fix that.
Yeah.
Not wait for millions of people to get pissed off about it and let your competitor market against you based on it. That's just a bad, stupid, silly corporate decision.
You know what wasn't a bad corporate decision?
Oh, here comes the segue to end them all.
Let's hear it.
Reviving Mega Man and releasing Mega Man 11. Oh, shit.
That is absolutely a great decision.
Oh, God, how good was that game?
It's excellent.
Oh, I was
Bloody
nervous.
shite.
I was so nervous. But then the demo came out, and I liked the demo. And I went, maybe this game's got potential. And then the game came out, and my living room is just a mess of Ghost, which is why I had to paint.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Just running around going mega, 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 mega.
Children, Daddy
Leave.
is going to play a game. It is now bedtime. But, Dad, it's 2 in the afternoon. I don't care.
Alexa, close my curtains.
Turn off all cameras in the house.
For the Killvassier.
This game has, I think, has single-handedly revived the Mega Man franchise. 9 and 10 were good, but to say that Mega Man's been going through a little bit of a dry spell recently is an understatement. I think this has kind of catapulted the franchise back into the mainstream. At least I'm hoping that it does, because, well, this wasn't the most definitive Mega Man. It was a genuine, true Mega Man game.
Yeah, it hits all the high points that you need to consider something sort of a traditional classic Mega Man game, and adds to that formula in a really good way.
Oh yeah, the new Double Gear system. Being an old school Mega Man player, this took me a long time to really wrap my head around and get used to, because you're just used to charging through the levels and getting really good at the jumps and the timing of the enemies, but now you have these 2 brand new skills at your disposal that can just manipulate the environment in completely different ways.
Yeah, it's I have to say, like, I was very skeptical going into it. I spent limited time with the demo, and I had fun with it, but I was like, I don't know if you can keep this up for a whole game and keep it challenging. And they've done a good job. This is not the hardest Mega Man game, but it is really challenging, especially as you amp up the difficulty level.
So I think it is difficult. I think it's a very difficult game for a couple reasons. First of all, in the Mega Man games, there's this intricate rock, paper, scissors mechanic where one boss skill defeats another boss and so on and so forth. But there's typically, not always, there's typically one that's extremely weak to the Mega Buster. And this game does not have that. You just have to inject yourself into this cycle and just get lucky and beat one of the robot masters, and then start that rock, paper, scissors cycle from there. I spent quite a bit of time messing around in the different levels trying to figure out, okay, which one am I going to try to tackle first? And then I realized, okay, it's probably just going to be Blockman, because I think that's the level that they designed to be the introductory level. The mid-level bosses aren't that complicated. They're easy enough to beat. There's no specific points within that level that require a different boss weapon to advance more easily. But it's difficult in that these levels are super long compared to old games.
Yeah, I think you're right on the spot there, because I think the difficulty shifted from the end boss encounters becoming much less challenging and kind of shifting that back into the levels.
Yeah, that's one thing I was a little disappointed about, is that once you have the right weapon to beat a boss, I one-shotted every boss through the rest of the game as long as I had the right weapon for it.
Yeah.
And it's not really that hard to figure out. I mean, the rock, paper, scissors mechanic isn't that hard if you just look at what you think can beat another one, and once you find that cycle and just clip through it. It's the mid-level bosses that can cause a headache. But like you told me, Zach, if you find the right weapon, which typically isn't the one that beats the boss, you can one or two shot the mid-level bosses as well.
Yeah.
Isn't this true of every Mega Man?
Not typically.
No,
I mean, this one is like the mid-level bosses, one or two hits from the right boss weapon will destroy it. Otherwise, you're looking at quite a challenge.
Well, yeah, because it follows the mid-level bosses really have as much health as a final boss, and then they all have pattern analysis puzzles, right? So, and that's how Mega Man works. There's no great secret to it. There's a pattern of enemy and fire placement, and your job is to figure out how to navigate those. But mid-level bosses now have either a quick kill mechanic, and that you've got the right sub weapon, or you have to follow that pattern. And I don't think Mega Man bosses or mid-level bosses of the past had that. So it's kind of like having two bosses per level.
Well, most of the levels.
How innovative! A mini boss, never.
What's next? He'll shoot up.
Oh my god!
Most of the mid-level bosses you had to fight twice.
Yeah, to some degree.
In different iterations, like
recycled
in the
enemies. How innovative!
Oh, shut up! I'm going to remove you from the call. Zach and I are just going to beat off over Mega Man together.
Speak for yourself.
I'm not. It's probably a good game, but I just think Mega Man's stuck in a rut of just being the same.
And Sonic isn't?
No, Sonic Mania did a lot different.
Well, here's the thing. I think Sonic Mania, as it were, and
So nice Mania.
Sonic Menage?
I think Sonic Mania and Mega Man 11 have a lot in common in that they don't fundamentally push the series. You know, it's not a jolting, jarring push forward. It's little improvement of life and, hey, let's add some complexity to it. But they both represent the sort of pinnacle of their series.
And I think, Dan, I mentioned this to you in the WhatsApp chat, but I think it's a great comparison in that how you, and I guess Mike, probably felt about Sonic Mania and what it did for the series for you is pretty much what Mega Man 11 is for me. Because the original Mega Mans, like we'll talk about 2 through 6, 1, I guess, we'll just say 1 through 6, was the pinnacle of the series. And then you get X, 1, 2, and 3. But there's a lot of other garbage that was released. And they were trying to move the franchise in a bunch of weird directions. And this one is just kind of returned to those roots. It's like, hey, here's everything that's great about Mega Man. We're going to give you a ton of that, but we're also going to change it up enough that gives you some new mechanics, a new art style, and just kind of give you what you want instead of trying to say, here's what you should want.
Yeah, I'm to be honest, after playing a couple of Mega Mans this week, I've been slightly converted.
Isolate sound cue. Get it? Got it.
Slightly.
It'll happen.
There's a good chance that'll be the end of the show. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, in case it just cuts off with Dan saying that.
Cold ending. No, it's definitely Mega Man is a slow burn. It's a very difficult series to jump into because I think it characterizes what's good about platforming games, but in a very difficult fashion.
Yeah, I think what's daunting about coming into it is this mentality you have of trying to find which boss weapon works with each. But after experimenting with a few of the games this week, kind of you don't have to use the boss weapons. You just got to get good, essentially.
Agreed.
And like Zach said, it comes down to pattern recognition.
Yeah,
You know, the
it's
bosses
muscle
aren't.
memory, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Mega Man 2, you just go through it with the old quick shot joystick, and you're good to go.
No, that's fucking crazy.
I made
I'm
it
quite
all the
impressed
way
you
to
did
the
that, actually.
all the way to the end of the game with the quick shot.
Did you get past the dragon?
Yeah,
Ooh,
I made it all the way up to the boss rematches, and then I quit for
That's
the
like-
night and haven't gone back to it.
well, I doff my cap to you because that'd be like beating Dark Souls with a Guitar Hero controller for me. I couldn't do it without the pad.
You know, the first couple levels were kind of difficult, but it's just kind of clicked. You know, the trigger I think was shoot, and then the button on top was jump. It just got kind of tricky when you had to do the really precise stuff because you know you're used to using your left thumb to move around, and now you're using your right wrist. So
Yeah.
just kind of reprogramming yourself. But the new mechanic in Mega Man 11, I didn't find myself utilizing it as much as I thought I would. Did you?
The gear system?
Yeah.
So no. I found that there were a couple sections where kind of forcibly, especially on bosses, like forcibly you needed to use it if you didn't want to get hit. But I didn't find the bosses hard enough that I really needed to not get hit. I didn't really care enough about it. But I'll give you a minute, but I want to argue that there's actually a second mechanic that's sort of hidden that I want to talk about.
Okay.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't utilize it that much. The speed mechanics, you have two mechanics. You can slow down time, and then you can supercharge your weapons. So the Mega Buster, if you hold down square, it'll charge. But then if you hit the power gear, it charges it even further. Or you can do that with the sub weapons. So, for example, if you have the lightning one where he shoots it down on the ground and it spins around the level, it'll become larger balls of lightning. Or if you're shooting out the bouncy balls, instead of shooting 3, it'll shoot 12. It just makes it a much more powerful attack. But there's a cooldown timer on it. So if you have it activated, there's this little ticker that ticks up, and if it maxes out, you kind of go into a short circuit mode and have to wait for it to cool down. Same thing with the slow down the time mechanic, which is great because if you're doing some really tricky jumps, you can slow that down and avoid falling blocks or enemies jumping out of pits. Or there's one section where they had in the demo where you have to make it across the section where you have to move through this little maze or get hit by the what are they? The gears at the left side of the screen that'll instant kill you. There's actually a couple sections like that in the Flame Man level that kind of start to suck. I hate those insta-kill sections where you fuck up once, you're dead.
I said this to you earlier in the week. You went, "Welcome to Mega Man."
I know,
Yeah,
but they don't suck any. Like the Flame one got to be a little much because you had to go through that 3 or 4 times, and you don't get enough gear recharging throughout. So there are portions of it where you just have to get lucky, and then killing enemies as you're going through it. And some of them are enemies that have shields, so you have to be switching to the right sub weapon as you're moving across, avoiding this wall of flame chasing you and navigating your way through these little mazes. It's kind of like the from Mega Man 2. What is it? The Heatman stage.
Is that the one where the beams of light try to kill you?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
And you can cheat and use Flash Man to slow it down, but if you just want to make it through without utilizing that, you have to be perfect.
Yep,
You do.
100%.
And that's a trap of Mega Man, is that you have to be perfect, because Mega Man's not stingy with necessarily like life up or power ups. And I think a lot of people play Mega Man kind of wanting to not get hit, thinking like, oh, I got to save all this health for the boss, and you
Oh,
really
fuck
don't
no.
have
Just
to.
charge your way through.
Yeah, you
'Cause
really
they'll-
do have to play it as a shmup.
They'll typically give you an enemy that you can cheese right before the final boss, that you can recharge all your weapons and charge up your power if you just kill it, move off screen, come back, kill it, move off screen. It takes a little bit of time to farm, but I don't try to play it perfectly. I'll just charge through and get hit where I get hit. The thing that gets really annoying, and they didn't really do that a lot in this game, is the older games would have like pixel perfect jumps. So, example, in Metal Man, the one of the final jumps where you have to jump from the top all the way to this ledge on the bottom right, you have to be pixel perfect to make that jump.
Yeah.
And I think Planet Man in 6 has that.
Oh, that was the one that Juliet was
Planet
talking
Man,
about.
come on.
Yeah.
Well, he's a man, and get this. Are you listening, Dan? He looks like a planet.
Well, he was the last out of the design factory, wasn't he? We need a new guy. Oh, let's make him into a planet. The one with the knobs already done.
Call him Globe Boy.
No, it's not. What game was he in? I can't remember. It's not 6.
Is that 5? I don't know. Honestly, it's hard for me to keep track.
There's so many
across all
of
the
them.
Mega Man games. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I'm thinking of
Does it not? Do they like kind of not recycle
Gravity
old
Man.
ones?
Is what I'm thinking. They I mean, yeah. Most of the games
But with a different name.
Most of the games have 2 different series of enemies. They have your elementals and then your non-elementals. So most of them will have like a fire and a blizzard and a water-based enemy.
and the names will change from like fire to flare to, flame.
Or heat or something like that.
Yeah. Incendiary bucket.
And then I think 4 was one of the first and only that. It's either 3 or 4 that didn't have that.
I kind of just say I laughed my head off at Hard Man on 3.
Just a big erection. Anyway, Zach, you were saying there was a second mechanic. I don't want to let that
I don't
go.
know if I don't know if it's a mechanic, but it's definitely a design element that changes the way that this Mega Man works.
Sounds a bit like a mechanic then.
And Dan, this one's for you, bud. It's in 16:9. And no other Mega Man has been in widescreen and actually used the real estate. So it's twice as many enemies, twice as many puzzles, twice as many places for bosses to go. It really does change the layout and the way the game is played. And in instances like in the Flame Man or the fire level in this one, where you have the big wall of fire chasing you, that wouldn't have been possible in previous Mega Man games because the 3x4 was just too constrictive. There's no way you could get across the screen that fast.
Yeah. I liked it. The art style in this game was getting a bit of flack at the beginning, but if you don't like the art style in this game, you're just wrong. It's fantastic.
Yeah. No, I mean it's cartoon Rockman. It is perfect for it'd be like making an Astro Boy game.
Yeah.
It would have to look like this.
I liken it to the PS2 era level 5 games, but shinier. Just fantastic cell shading.
Yeah. And true to form performance was, I did go and check it out because it looks really good. This is a true 4K 60 game.
Yep.
It's grown on me. I said I didn't like it originally, but it looks all right.
The only reason I bought it on PS4 instead of Switch is I wanted to play in 4K 60.
Yeah. Switch turns in. I did actually open my copy for it for another reason that I can talk about in a second. But it's 1080p and 720p depending on mobile or on a TV. But all of them, I think all versions demonstrate pretty excellent frame rate, which is important to a game like this.
Yeah.
It has to run at 60 frames a second all the time. Or the design doesn't work.
I do have a Switch copy coming that I'm not going to open because it's one of the Mega Man 11 Amiibo copies, which apparently are stupid rare now.
Yep, I bought a Japanese one because I couldn't find an American one.
Especially in good condition. It was a GameStop only pre-order, and I was talking to Ben, and apparently a bunch of them came into the GameStop stores just beat to hell. So he had an extra one at his store that a guy ended up not picking up because he went out one weekend and spent too much money drinking, so he couldn't pick it up. And I'm like, I will take it, and it's in mint condition. So that will go right up on the shelf next to my Mega Man Legacy Collection amiibo sealed. I mean, it's
Very
only been
nice.
out for 2 weeks, and already on price charting, brand new, it's listing at damn near double.
Yeah.
Fetch
Mega
me
Man's-
my ceremonial unsealing sword.
You unseal any Mega Man games in my house, and you will be leaving without your nether regions.
Worth it.
Man, sealed Mega Man games are so spendy.
Oh, God. So, before we get into the older Mega Man games, what were your thoughts on the bosses of this one?
Shite.
Shut up, I'm not talking to you.
No, I thought all the design was excellent. I think if you take bosses like Fuse Man, both visually and from I have to figure out how it works and him jumping around the room, they just demonstrate excellent design across the board. And again,
Who's the nifty ice skating man?
Oh, dude, he's so funny.
yeah, he's awesome.
Tundra Man. You bust into his level and these spotlights come on and he's like a robotic David Bowie on ice skates. And he comes out and he does this little twirl and he strikes a pose and says something witty and ends it with "feel freeze." And then the boss starts or the fight starts.
So do they actually have voice acting in this one?
Yeah. Dude, the
Yeah.
voice acting's so good. And I was reading about this in the 30th anniversary Mega Man 11 guide. They were talking about the voice acting was initially done by the development crew as kind of a placeholder, and most of the people didn't realize that their stuff was ultimately used because it was just so energetic and full of life and fit perfectly with what was going on that they just used those people's voiceover. But
And
you know,
there's
the
there's
bosses,
quite a
they
bit of
come in and
story here.
they have really witty banter, and if you die to the boss a few times or if you come back, they don't say the same stuff. They have a bunch of different catchphrases.
Yeah, and I think this game is a lot more story heavy than I think I was expecting, honestly. And that's not a bad thing. It was just it struck me how much personality they were able to get into each boss and sort of each encounter with all the different characters.
The one boss that I didn't care for, I thought was kind of dumb, was Bounce Man.
Bounce Man.
His
Did
level
you-
was kind of dumb.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy his boss fight as much, but I did enjoy some of the bouncing puzzles.
I mean, he's a big, goofy ass boss, but and his weapon was a ton of fun too.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I think the what was the fire guy called in this? Was it Torchman?
Yeah.
Torchman's level was probably my least favorite, but he was my favorite boss.
Yeah, but his level was so cool. It was like you're just burning through a children's summer camp.
Yeah, and I mean the art style there's so much detail in the background. Not that it's easy to keep up with because it's one of the more sort of challenging stages, but oh God, like again, I know I'm gushing here, but this is just pure sort of what I wanted from a Mega Man game at this
Yeah.
point. And I'm happy if they evolve it and take it forward and another 5 steps in the next one, but I kind of needed this one to
To
make
wet your
right
whistle.
some of the Sonic 06 moments of the Mega Man series over the last couple of years.
Sonic 06, a dark time.
Uh-huh. Not to mention, I'm going to say this as a collector and as just somebody who likes games in general. I hate that the Mega Man collections are all releasing half physical, and you have to download the second half. That really irritates me.
Yep.
So I kind of needed a thank you, and we'll do better. And Mega Man 11 is it for me.
Yeah. The one thing that I found kind of made this game a little too easy was your ability between every single level to go to the store and just buy a bunch of 1-ups and buy a bunch of E-tanks, weapon tanks, and weapon health tanks.
Yeah, it came in handy the first time I had to take on the Yellow Devil at the end, but yeah.
At least there weren't microtransactions.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
But
the
it-
other thing, the other mechanic we didn't really talk about was the ability to actually add modifications to Mega Man. So X gave you the ability to do that through finding them in hidden places throughout the level.
Upgradable abilities as well. Oh my god!
I know.
God, such innovation!
You leave us alone. Sonic doesn't get shit.
Yeah, tell me the last time Sonic had an upgradable ability. Run faster?
It was awful.
Sonic
matter what it
Unleashed,
was.
where he could turn into the werehog.
Oh,
Yeah, but like with everything else that wasn't Sonic Mania, like basically if they made a change to Sonic at all, it made it worse. We're gonna release a new Sonic game. Is it Sonic Mania? No, then fuck it. Can't have that. Just makes my Sonic terrible.
so you could spend bolts that you'd collect throughout the level and get different.
Copying off Ratchet and Clank much?
A little bit. I think Mega Man came first, though. So
I think Ratchet and Clank made bolts first, though.
what was I saying? Oh, you can buy different microchips to insert into your Mega Man that will give him different abilities. Yeah.
Eric enjoyed that part.
Hell,
Inserting into Mega Man.
Oh, it's a dream come true. No, I thought that, like, some of them were actually pretty neat. You had the ability to just straight up make your plasma load larger.
Oh, yeah.
But probably the most useful one was the one where it just automatically would charge your Buster. You didn't have to hold square the entire time.
Literally everything you are seeing is a euphemism right now.
Yeah, see? I'm doing that for you on purpose.
No, you aren't.
I am. Maybe it's just my subconscious kind of seeping out. Hold on, I've got the guide here. I'm pulling up the different stuff and things. Support items and parts, page 8. Did you find yourself using a lot of those, Zach, or not?
I did, but it was one of those where I'd upgrade something, and then the next time I had enough money, I'd upgrade the next thing. I don't think I specifically upgraded anything on purpose, but it didn't. For me, it didn't really make the game easier or harder because no matter what, even if I don't have to hold the button to charge the load, as it were, then
My load
I'm
is
gonna do
always
it anyway.
charged.
Like it's just
God.
It's Mega Man muscle memory for me.
You just hold
Like,
square and run. It's like
I can't
holding.
not do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like holding run for Mario. You just always hold it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can't not do it.
But they had like the energy balancer or the energy balancer Neo, where it would automatically charge the one that was the lowest, or would charge all of them equally, or a shock absorber where you would not move back as far with a charge blast, or if you got hit as much by an enemy. So it did help make it a little bit easier overall. There's one where you could, after you beat the game, the cooling system for the gears would just be eliminated. There's another one where you could just utilize all of them at any given time for an unlimited amount of time. So you can go through the levels once you beat it fully in slow-mo and just burn through them.
Oh, that's kind of neat. Because there are like energy tanks and things and levels that you'd want to go back and farm and harder difficulties, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a hard time. I didn't realize the first time I played it. I think I played it on cat. It wasn't the easiest, but it was like the second easiest. And I'm going back and beating on even normal, and that's significantly harder. Not impossible. But
Oh, you didn't beat it on normal
harder.
first go?
No, I didn't realize. I think my kids had picked up the controller.
Dan Mode!
Heathen!
Yeah.
Also known as Zack Mode.
I think, but I mean, I went back through and I played it. I'm actually playing it on the Switch now, and I'm just about at the end. But again, as you step up and like to the hardcore modes, I can see wanting to come back into some of the levels and farm.
Yeah. I played through it on normal, and it was quite a bit more difficult than I was anticipating. But at the end, very satisfying.
Yeah. And I don't feel like we're spoiling anything for anybody. I mean, all the stuff that we're talking about with Mega Man is in every Mega Man game. This is just more and better of it. So sorry if we've spoiled anything.
Yeah, like the inclusion of the Yellow Devil Mark II. Fuck that thing.
Yeah.
Of all of the Mega Man bosses throughout the pantheon of Mega Man, they brought back the worst one.
Yeah. In fact, that's how I knew that I was on casual, or how I figured it out, because I beat him on the first go. And I thought, like, when I saw him start to phase in, I hadn't read anything about him being in the game, and I had a small stroke Like the left side of my face wasn't working, and like I could barely talk. It was crazy. I was like, "No, God, not this!" But then I beat him, and I was like, "Okay, something is wrong here." And I went and
No,
looked. I'm
he
like, "Oh
took
fuck, I'm on
me
casual."
like a solid 5 or 6 tries. It
Yeah,
definitely was not fun. It's
yeah.
just
He
one of
has a
those
new.
things that you just have to memorize the order. There's no two ways around it. And then to try to, I think the blast sub weapon is what kills him, but you have to use it with a power gear, and you have just a minuscule amount of time to charge it and shoot it before his eye closes and he starts reverting back. And then,
He looks like a giant Cheetor.
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit. But then as soon as you hit him a couple times, he goes into phase 2 with a bunch of the guys bouncing around, and you have to avoid them, and then he comes back and just rinse
but think
repeat.
about your most Dan. Think about your most hated moment in any Sonic game. The one that you just dread, and that is that boss in the first Mega Man game. I mean, for a lot of people, that boss was the absolute end of the game because they would never get past him.
Yeah.
Well, it always used to be the barrel on Carnival Night Zone
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sonic 3 for me, but until I figured out how you actually do it.
I get it.
It's the most simple thing in the
Yeah.
world.
See, what made this one easier, though, is that you could slide. The first time you fought Yellow Devil in Mega Man 1, you couldn't slide.
Yeah. Oh,
So you just had to straight up jump over him.
and
So much innovation.
and as a kid, you don't get the it's pattern recognition, so you don't like count how many until you have to jump twice and all that. So yeah, he was a nightmare as a kid.
Yeah, I hated it. But we should talk about Mega Man's roots.
Oh, segue.
Segue!
Why, he hasn't dyed his hair for a long time.
He's got.
Good one, Dan. That's just as bad as Mike's optician joke. It might be worse.
I know, I did it on purpose.
I'm making a note. Dan makes worse joke than Mike.
Excellent.
10/14/2018.
Good pretend typing there, I like it.
No, I'm gonna cop Mega Man hair joke is shit.
1 out of 5 stars.
That's 0 out of 5.
Mega Man's kind of a greaser. I beat Mega Man 1 this week, and when he takes his helmet off at the ending, kind of, he's very slick. He's got some product.
So when we decided to play the Man Mega for the show, I started burning through the original 6, and I made it through 5 of them. I played
Good Lord.
2 through 6. I started at 6, then I went to 3, then I went to 4, then 5, and then back to 2.
Why have we skipped 1?
I don't enjoy 1. I get that it's the birth of the series, but it's just not one that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I kind of took it as a mission to make sure that I beat Mega Man 1 because I wanted to measure it against Mega Man 11. And it was hard. I ended up doing a buster run of it for all but one of the end bosses. Or the boss rush at the end. I did cheese out there, but yeah, it was rough.
Well, and there's only 6 Robot Masters, and it's
You
just
know the biggest improvement,
know.
honestly, is that the fucking boss character portraits get grayed out so I can remember which ones I've done since Mega Man 1. I twice did the same boss.
Ugh.
Oh,
You get to
dear.
the end and like, yeah, I've
Well,
done
I've
this
played
one
so much
already.
Mega Man, like I just lose track, and you know, half the time I've got a bunch of kids, so like I can't sit down and play for 3 hours at a time. I got to get up and wander away.
For as much as I play Mega Man, I can't tell you which boss is
not a
in
one.
which game.
I can remember Mega Man 1 specifically because I just played it and it's fresh. But even Mega Man 2, which I can basically play with my eyes closed, I can tell you certain parts of that.
Well, I mean, I know the bosses from 2, but, you know,
Gemini.
that's because I've played it a
Yeah.
billion times. But that's the one that Dan played through for this show, so we should probably start there, because I guess that's the one that's considered the pinnacle of the series for many people. It's arguably what threw Mega Man on the map. It wasn't even supposed to have existed. Mega Man was not supposed to originally get a sequel, and then the team decided, yeah, we're going to work on it.
And what a job they did.
Bastards.
So, Dan,
Hello.
What did you think of Mega Man 2?
Shite.
That's wrong.
No, I actually quite enjoyed it in the end. Bit of a shaky start while I tried to figure it all out, but then it kind of clicked and I enjoyed it.
See?
I didn't enjoy insta-death. Very irritating.
What, when you fall down a pit?
said no, like the stupid light beams and things like that, or the stage where you can jump out of water into spikes on the ceiling and things.
Get good. But what did I say?
You said try and do it without save states. Fuck.
Come on now. I did it
Not
without save
happening.
states on an NES with a joystick.
Yes, but you've also played it a million times.
Million.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Whereas this is my first time ever playing this.
I will
Now,
admit,
a while back with you, I played Mega Man X, which I did enjoy.
yeah, I
but
feel like X
I've
is
never
more
played
your
one of
speed.
these. It's just slicker, like it. I don't know, but I did enjoy this a lot.
I will admit, Mega Man.
I thought the
ahead.
figuring out how to beat the bosses and things was really interesting. And as somebody who hasn't played the series much, I understand how it works. But when you actually delve into it and trying to figure out which is best to kill an enemy and things like that, and then it's kind of frustrating to have to go back to some levels sometimes and play through it again because you can't beat the boss because you're just shit.
But see, that's where a lot of the longevity and the replay value came out of these games when they first came out, was that you didn't have a guide for it. You didn't know. So you pop this cartridge in with your buddies, and you're like, all right, where should we start? And let's just pound our head against a wall till we find one that we can beat. And then we have to figure out which boss is weak to that weapon and then just start the cycle over. Now that you know it, I can clip through Mega Man 2 in an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's I think it's just a limitation of the NES that when you swap weapons, you have to always go into the pause menu, find the right one, swap to it, and then this got even worse when you start and look at they've brilliantly named item 1, 2, and 3.
Hey,
that's
Rush.
Little. No, it's not Rush in this one. They're just items.
Oh yeah, you're right with the
Rush is in 3.
yeah.
So they're just like these little platforms that kind of lift you up a ledge. You don't really have to use them until the Dr. Wily stages at the end.
No, but they certainly help you get like the E-tanks and stuff.
Yeah, but I didn't really use them.
I tell you
until
what,
the end, when you have
Mega
to.
Man 2 has one of the most overpowered boss weapons in any Mega Man game, and that's the Metal Blade.
Oh god, yeah. The saw blade of death.
You could get through most of the game with just that.
See, I literally used the Mega Buster for all of it, apart from the bosses.
Well, I did too, but I'm talking about the bosses. You can fire the Metal Blade at most of them, and it'll kill them. If you get to the boss rematches, I believe Metal Man is weak to his own Metal Blade, and it takes 1 or 2 hits to kill him.
Yep.
He's weak to his own weapon. What a goon.
Yeah. As it bounces around the level. Oh, just don't get hit by my own shit.
Did Mega Man 2, and I did not play that this week, but did Mega Man 2 have the stupid mechanic if you were on a ladder and you changed your weapon, it would like phase you out and you would just start dropping? Because Mega Man 1 sure as hell has that. It killed me twice.
Don't think 2 did, but then again, I never really change
Oh my god.
weapons on a ladder.
That again, the Mega Man 2 was just about quality of life in general.
Yeah.
and I sure appreciated that one because I just would forget, and like I'd be in some of those Dr. Wily stages at the end were just insane with ladders and the precision that you had to have to get through
and then
some
you
of
have
those
to use the
bell
item
ringers.
1, 2, or 3 to get through them and things like that.
The one
Mega
where you
Man
had
1,
the,
it's
at,
called
I think
M.
it was in. I think it was right before Mecha Dragon, where you have a ladder on one side and then a ladder way up on the top left, and you have just enough of your item. I think it was 1, where you have to put the platform out or the balloon or something like that and jump, and you have just to do. You have to put it at just the right spot to make the perfect jump to catch just the bottom part of the ladder.
Oh yeah, that bit was shit. I hate it.
Get good.
Yep.
I tried. I did. I got through. I finished this game.
I know. What'd you think of Mecha Dragon?
Didn't struggle because, to be honest, I used a guide.
It's not that hard.
What if you? I think you have to use the flame thing on him or something. Or is
I
that
just
the
used
other
the
boss?
Buster.
I can't remember. I
And-
didn't struggle with him at all. Actually, the one it had 3 ledges, right, and you have to jump between them to avoid his attacks.
Yeah, you can usually if you use
No,
the
I
Buster,
didn't struggle at all.
you can
I didn't
have
think
him.
I even have to save state. So
I think you can have him dead by the time you jump up to the top one and back down to the middle one if you're good.
I'm not that good.
No. The only boss in this game that I absolutely hate, I believe it was the boo beam trap, where you have to use the crash bombs.
Oh yeah, that's because you have to have exactly the right amount of energy, don't you, to get through it?
Yep. You can actually dead end yourself in this game with that.
I didn't like that bit at all. I was
Well,
actually
and you
planning
have
to
it.
mention that.
You have enough to destroy all the walls, but you don't have enough to destroy all of the enemies. Or no, you have exactly enough, and you have to utilize one of the items to jump up and make just a perfect jump. And if you fire and you don't have the perfect jump, you're done, and you just have to die and start over.
Perfect.
Every time I
jumps.
get to that,
Mega
I
Man.
hate
No, go on. It's every Mega Man boss. You have to be perfect 90% of the
guess.
time. And I mean
guess.
that's a great mechanic though, because it really does teach you to look, learn, listen, and then act.
Yeah, but that one is unfair because you could quite easily not know that you need the crash bombs for that and the same amount of energy, whereas other bosses you could get through with the Mega Buster, and you need it. You have to have it with that amount of energy, otherwise you can't do it.
So, did you guys know that the bosses in Mega Man 2 have a very short period of invulnerability after they receive damage, that you can reset that timer and you can kill most enemies with a single shot by exploiting that? So, if you fire their weakness and you hit them, as soon as it hits, you pause, and then I think it's like 2 seconds, unpause, pause. Even when the game is paused, that timer is still counting down for their invulnerability. So when you unpause, they'll take damage again, and then you pause again, and unpause, rinse,
Imagine
repeat.
this is a speed running technique.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
you know what? I think that's how I killed the Yellow Devil the
Yeah.
first time through. I think I exploited to do that, and it didn't occur to me that it was an exploit for all of them. But yeah,
Also interesting about 2 is that the American version has a difficulty setting, and
yes,
the American difficult is the Japanese normal,
yep.
which
Japanese's a hardcore.
they changed back for the anniversary collection. However, easy is not the same as normal of the English version. So easy in the anniversary collection has half damage taken, enemies are removed from the stage, and it takes less hits to kill enemies than in the difficult mode of the original. So if you really want the true Mega Man experience of 2, like how it was intended to be, played on difficult, and that's normal.
It was difficult enough, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, what did you think of the final boss on this one, Dan?
It was unexpected. And a weird alien hologram from nowhere.
I think, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong on this. This is the only one that doesn't have why can't I think of the name of it? The Wily
Pod.
Pod, or some variation thereof as the final boss.
Yeah,
The Wily Machine or Wily Capsule, that's what they're called.
yeah.
Mega Man 3? Yeah, Mega Man 3 didn't have it because you fought Gamma.
That's right. And then the X games didn't have it because those were all about Sigma.
Yeah.
Which, again, I get into quality of life things that happened over the games over the years. I mean, certainly the newer Mega Mans have taken inspiration from some of the X games quality of life things, like being able to hot flip through your weapons without going into a menu. Good God, that kills me in the original Mega Man games.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, there wasn't a button combination you could utilize to do that.
Especially when they just have abbreviations of what they are with 2 letters. Like, okay,
H.
what's HV?
HMW.
Like I remember racking my 12-year-old brain over what the hell does M mean to correlate to a platform that I spawn out in the middle of nowhere? Is it a mobile platform? Is it
The
making me
mega
think about this?
platform.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
Did
but
Mega
yeah,
Man 2 have disappearing block puzzles?
yeah,
Okay, good.
I
Good.
love those. Like Heatman stage, the one where you have to be perfect in jumping across, or you can just cheat and use your rush jet.
Uh,
Is that not Mega Man 3? Or is it in Mega Man 3 as well?
I think
I think,
that's kind of a Mega Man staple, actually. I think
yeah.
All
it's in
right.
all the games. But I know there is one or two that doesn't have it. And Mega Man 11 has one that's fantastic because it spawns the worst of all Mega Man vanishing block puzzles, where the block you're supposed to jump to appears directly above you.
Yeah, and you got to time it to jump up.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
otherwise you bop your head and fall into the
Or you
whatever it
just
is.
or you just get pushed off to the left just enough.
I think the worst one though was I think it was Mega Man 9 Sparkman stage where the
Uh,
entire level is disappearing blocks. You have
yeah.
to be perfect from beginning to end.
And there are enemies.
Yeah. You can and it's pit below you. You just can't fall.
Yeah.
That sounds ridiculous.
Oh, it's so
Uh,
hard.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
so the final boss in this one is not the Wily machine or the Wily capsule. It is an alien and he is the only boss in the entire game that's truly weak to the bubble.
Well, there always has to be one.
Yeah. So
I don't.
dumb.
Oh God. Just I think about across all the Mega Man games, the sheer amount of just gridded puzzles that they had to outline for both weapon fire and navigational levels, and it just must be staggering. Like somewhere somebody's got a file cabinet just filled with pixel grid maps to help people understand you want them to fire where and how fast. I mean, like the original Mega Man game, like almost every enemy could fire at least in three directions at the same time, and some of them were like eight directions at the same time, and
Mega
just
Man wants to learn from these guys.
man, yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things. Like from a programming standpoint, you always have to make sure that people can get through your level, and just managing all that is insane. End result's fun though.
Yes. 3, I think, is where the game really started, or the series kind of started to add new features to it. And I always confuse this. I think I mentioned it wrong in the last show. You get the slide before you get the buster, right? So
You can
3
slide
introduces
from the start.
in 3.
Yeah,
And then in 4 is when they introduce the Mega Buster where you can charge it.
Oh, right, okay, got you.
Is that right, Zach?
I think so.
3's definitely got a slide in because I
Okay.
played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what's, I guess it requires a little suspension of disbelief with Mega Man, is that every game revolves around the same premise where Dr. Wily goes off and he tries to destroy the world. So at the end of 2, he kind of has a change of heart and there's a brief period of peace. And Dr. Wily comes back. So Wily and Light were colleagues and they kind of went their separate ways with differences of opinion. And Wily comes back after 2 and teams up with Dr. Light to create a giant peacekeeping robot named Gamma. And once everything is almost complete, they discover they need 8 energy elements. And they're on different planets. And Dr. Wily decides to defect and create these robots to go out and steal those energy elements. So it just kind of rinse repeats of the same shit over and over and over again. You'd think by like the end of the 3rd or 4th time of Dr. Wily trying to destroy the world, like, yeah, we're just going to not let you out anymore.
Would you think they would have gotten to sooner?
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
Dr. Wily is definitely like the Andrew Ryan of the Mega Man universe, because he's never really out to just arbitrarily conquer people. He genuinely wants to make the world a better place. He wants the robots to serve people, and he
Yeah.
just can't seem to get over himself about it.
Yeah. Well, in 3, you also meet Proto Man for the first time.
That's right.
who is, I believe his number is DLN000, which denotes he was the, as his name implies, the prototype for a sentient, self-thinking robot. So, Dan, if you look at the numbering for all of the robot masters, they all start with either DLN or DWN. So DLN is Dr. Light number, and DWN is Dr. Wily number, and then 00 whatever. So it denotes which doctor created them. So Dr. Light created Proto Man as a prototype for this type of sentient robot, and they discovered that something was wrong with his power core, and Dr. Light said, I'm going to fix you because you've been made too independent. And Proto Man's like, nope, I don't want to have that done because I'm afraid it's going to change who I am as a person. And he leaves to help kind of protect who he feels that he is. And this is where I'm a little rusty on this, but I think at that point, Dr. Wily repairs him by changing his core from a solar to a nuclear reactor and turns him into a combat robot.
Yes.
So,
because Dr. Wily's aim is always to turn machines into either military or just service robots.
yes.
He does not believe they should think independently.
But Proto Man still does think independently and becomes sort of this helper to Mega Man throughout the series.
Right.
But he's officially, unofficially Mega Man's brother. And Roll, who is his sister, is just the housekeeper.
Yep. And then there's the big green one. He just watches all of this.
The big green one.
Yeah, the one from Mega Man 11 that they sort of introduce as the
Oh, yeah, Otto.
Otto.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just sort of like their service robot.
And then there are, there's, who's the character that the Sniper Joes were modeled after? Why can't I think of it?
You're going to have to look it up. I'm sorry. I know what you're talking about.
Is it I think it is Proto Man, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Proto Man became the basis for Sniper Joes, and Proto Man despises the Sniper Joes because of that.
Sniper Joe sounds like a fast food chain.
Sniper Joe, we fire burgers straight into the back of your throat.
We are on
The
point.
Mega Burger.
And then you fire it out your ass an hour later.
Just don't be in the same room as Eric when he's eating it.
The Rabbit Pie Burger.
Yeah. I like Mega Man 3. I think this one is where things become...
It's just kind of more of the same, to be honest.
It is, but
Mega
that's
Man
not...
2.
At the time, that wasn't a bad thing.
No.
Because
No.
Mega Man was such a great series.
Well, and Mega Man
I
sort
like
of...
the slide. The slide is useful.
Well, and Mega Man's story, at least in the Nintendo days, was really just there to get you from point A to point B. It wasn't really about the story at all. So I think lots of things evolved as they
Yeah.
were kind of framing out.
Oh yeah,
epics.
a lot of games of that era don't have a story really.
Yeah.
They just kind of
The story
Well,
was there when you'd boot up the game and maybe see the opening cutscene. Otherwise, like, press
No, I
start, go, go,
skipped
go, go, go.
Yeah, I mean,
I got up. I beat all of the Robot Masters on 3, but I got up to the levels after that, and it was just a pain in the arse with having to use all the items all the time. And I was like, I can't be bothered.
Oh, going into the Dr. Wily castle?
Yeah. You
Well-
get repeats on Mega Man 3. You get repeats of the levels you've already played. I think 4 of them, or something like that. And then I think there's something after that as well. But was it 3 or 2 where you had to repeat the boss battles?
All of them.
all of them, you have a boss rush.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just kind of a Mega Man staple.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's but to speak to the story and just to kind of finish that thought, that's one of the things, like like the ending of Mega Man 1 is him jogging across the mountains. And the last scene of the game is like he meets Dr. Light and Roll, and then the credits roll. There's not like a deep overarching story that started there. They kind of developed it after the fact.
Yeah. Well, and it's mostly stuff that Capcom has then released through the comics or in instruction manuals. And I was reading about this earlier, but there's something where the North American instruction manual for one of the games made some comment about something, and Capcom later had to come back out and be like, no, that's not canon. And I can't remember what that is.
Us dirty colonists screwed it up again.
Nah, we never screw anything up. We make it better.
Mega Man and Metal Gear, we fucked those two things up royally. Well, I mean, and certainly, the design team probably wasn't thinking they were going to make a whole, but there were like 60 Mega Man games in total.
So many.
I don't think anybody thought that when they made the first one. I mean, you can look at Dr.
How many
Wily.
there is?
Yeah.
Well, there's so many
50.
spin-off series.
There's like 58, I think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I mean, even look at the design of Dr. Wily in Mega Man 1. He looked like Albert Einstein. And in fact, they changed him for Mega Man 2 because I think it was Inafune who said, like, we can't do this. That's not okay.
Well, that's actually the thing. Wily is modeled after Einstein, and Dr. Light is modeled after, get this, Mike, Santa Claus.
That's right.
Santa Mike Tyson.
Dr. Santa Light. I like the music from 3. 2 is arguably the best music, but 3, once you get to the Gamma levels, Gamma Unchained is just an incredible
I actually
song.
really enjoyed the music through this.
It's just super iconic.
I love Mega Man 2's music. Like, I really wish I owned an album of it. All of it's so good.
4 introduces the Mega Buster along with the slide, and that's kind of when the series in terms of mechanics peaks for a while. After that, it's all right, here we go, let's just rinse repeat.
Yeah, because it didn't change again really till X, right?
Well,
And the
6
addition-
introduced the different items in terms of your fist and the jetpack.
Oh, okay.
And I never really played 6 much as a kid, but I tell you what, I played through this one first these past couple weeks. I really like Mega Man 6. It wasn't particularly challenging, but I like the theme of the bosses. You have like medieval style bosses, and even as it shows on the cover of the box, you've got a big castle in the back, and you've got Centaur Man and Knight Man and Yamato Man, Tomahawk Man, and it kind of leads back to that. You've got your elementals and your non-elementals. So this one had Blizzard, Flame, Plant, and Wind, and then Yamato, Tomahawk, Knight, and Centaur. So you
got the box art of all the Mega Man games is really shit.
Well, apparently the first box art was done in like 2 weeks, and the artist had no idea what he was creating a box art for. He's like, yeah, it's a game about a guy with a gun who shoots things. Okay.
But he always looks so stupid on them.
The Japanese
Mega Man
box
6
art,
is probably the best.
Yeah.
it still looks kind of like play schoolish.
Yeah.
I prefer the Japanese box arts to it.
So how often did these come out? Because there's 6 for the NES alone, isn't there?
Quite quickly.
Yeah. They were looking to make a buck. There ain't no way that you can refute that claim.
I'm going to see
Mega
if I
Man.
can find a release timeline here.
I think Mega Man 2 came out less than a year after the first one.
Mega Man 1, 87, 2, 88, 3, 1990, 92, 92 as well. Then 93.
No, there's only one game in 92. That was Mega Man 5.
No, Mega Man 4.
Was in 91.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the US date.
Yeah.
So they've all got subtitles in Japan.
Yes, they do.
Rockman 2, The Mystery of Dr. Wily. Rockman 3, The End of Dr. Wily. Rockman 4, A New Ambition. Rockman 5, Blues Trap. What?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. It's called Mega Man here, but in Japan it's called Rockman because it's an homage to music, rock and then his
roll.
sister
Butt
roll.
rock, I'm
and then
familiar.
you have treble and bass
Bass.
and forte and all of those. Everything is music based.
So really they should have called him Rockman over here and it would have made more sense.
No, I hate that name. I absolutely hate that name.
God, there's a lot of Mega Man games.
I always
Oh,
get
yeah.
confused. Oh gosh, yeah. I always get confused when they call him Rock in a Mega Man game.
Call him what?
When they call him Rock.
Yeah.
What's Mega Man Zero?
So this is where the series really starts to spin off and get kind of goofy. You have your treble and bass, or let's see, hold on. I got to pull this up correctly here. Because you have the base series, Mega Man and bass, then you have the X series, the Zero. Who is Zero again? Help me
Some
out,
dude.
Zach.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Those games are so there were so frequent updates to most of those games in those sort of throwaway series. And I don't mean it like that. I mean every Mega Man game has something good to it, but like especially as you get into like Legends and the Zero games, like I lose track.
So Zero,
X is future Mega Man, isn't it?
yeah, Zero is the successor to Base, and Base is from the original series. He's a robot master created by Dr. Wily to imitate Mega Man's
Mega
design.
Man.
So he's Mega Man's Dr. Wily counterpart, and then Zero is I'm sorry, not Dr. Wily, Sigma's Mega Man X counterpart.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, wasn't Base a way to justify the Mega Man clone fight in Mega Man 1?
The Mega Man what?
The clone fight, like where you literally like a little thing comes up and it clones you as part of
Yeah.
the boss rush at the end. I think that's what they were justifying that with. Like, no, he's a character and his name is Base.
Yes. And then you've got so Base was originally supposed to be Forte in Japan. Let's see, then Treble is his dog or a wolf-like support creature, kind of like Rush. So you've got Mega Man and Rush, and then you've got Forte and Treble or Base and Treble.
Yeah.
I'm so lost.
It makes collecting these games really fun, by the way.
Well, then you get into the Game Boy games. Oh, God.
Oh God, Battle Network.
That is Mega Man Zero, the Game Boy ones, I think.
Well, yeah, but then they had Mega Man 1 through 6 actually on Game Boy. They were kind of watered down versions of it.
Yeah, or sometimes just totally different games.
I really liked Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy.
Yeah, Mega Man 4 and 5 are excellent.
They're so expensive, though.
Yeah, it's because they're excellent.
They're expensive.
Spendy game.
And then they decided to go 3D.
Times.
I do not understand why people like the Mega Man Legends games. But apparently one of the spin-offs that I've actually been looking for, called The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, is supposedly really good.
Yep, she's the one that ended up in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. As a
Oh, yeah, that's
playable
right.
Fighting character. Yeah.
I have no idea who Tron Bonne is, but apparently she is somebody from Mega Man Legends. So much so that they had to put...
Those are Japanese only games, aren't they?
No, there's an American version of Misadventures of Tron Bonne here.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
I don't know.
Let's look.
Oh,
I
Eric,
know
we
it's
should have
Japanese.
played the
Yeah.
3D one just for a laugh.
Yeah, North America, April 30th, 2000.
Dan, it's like playing Sonic 06. There's no laughs.
So even on the cover, they had to put, from the creators of Mega Man Legends. Like, okay, great. Nobody knows who the hell Tron Bonne is because it's a dumb name.
Yep. Yeah, they just... again, I think they got to the point that they understood the Mega Man brand was important and was going to make them money, and they needed to create games, and they couldn't just keep churning out Mega Man games, so they had to wait for a new console, and that meant lots of games in the middle.
Zach went full robot.
So did you.
Dear.
Oh, is that better? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think right around the time Mega Man Legends came out, the series really started to take a downward tick. And that's when things really started to plummet. Because then they switched into the Mega Man Battle Network games, and then Mega Man Star Force games, and just and then you finally got to the anniversary collections. We're like, maybe we should go back to the roots of the game here.
Yeah.
So you only played through most of 3, Dan?
Yeah, that's as far as I got. But I did look at some videos of 4, 5, and 6 just to see how they progress. And they all look pretty fun. They all look very similar, but I'd quite like to play them at some point.
For me, 4, the one thing with 4 that always stuck out was Pharaoh, man. I always thought that was such a weird enemy.
Pharaoh,
as in Egyptian pharaoh.
Oh, okay. I thought you said feral.
And he doesn't really fit with the rest of the enemies. I mean, you have Skullman and Dive Man and Dust Man and Bright and Toad and then Pharaoh.
They hit the bottom of that creative bucket barrel.
I like the bosses from Mega Man 5, though. That was just a great series of bosses. That's where you had Starman and Napalm and Crystal and Charge and Gyro. It's like this whole space theme, and I don't know, it's just a super cool series of enemies.
Well, and then what were the reboots based of? The PSP games were both reboots of Mega Man games.
So Mega Man Powered Up, I'll fight anybody who disagrees with me, is one of the most definitive Mega Man experiences. It's a complete rebuild of Mega Man 1.
That's right.
And then Maverick Hunter X is a rebuild of Mega Man X, which I don't think is better because they made it easier. They changed the location of the power-ups and made them a little easier to come across, and it wasn't as definitively changing as Powered Up. But
what I don't understand is how they managed to screw up Mighty Number 9 so much. Wasn't it the original designer and everything?
Well, so that's, kind of. He was one of the character designers, and I think that's what's really cool that a lot of people don't know about Mega Man is that number 2 is when they started taking player submissions for bosses. And they wouldn't just sit down with them and like, oh, let's make a guy that throws saw blades. Like, actually had gamers submit their ideas for bosses. And the first one was like 9,000, but then it started getting up into the hundreds of thousands of submissions.
Yeah.
So imagine having to whittle those down, or imagine knowing that, hey, I suggested this guy got put in the game.
There's still time, Eric.
If Eric ever gets the Infinity Gauntlet, that's what his snap will be.
I'm throwing my weight behind being cast as Mega Man for the live action. It's just me standing in the Mega Man suit, just with that stupid look on my face like I'm Mega Man, guys.
I did it.
Great movie, 10 out of 10.
Get a new Mega Man.
This movie went negative at the box office.
The only ticket sale was a guy named Eric.
I don't think anybody can look at a live action Mega Man movie and say this movie is gonna sell real well. But I'm genuinely interested to see what they do with it.
I still can't believe they're doing a live action Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah,
why?
I can't imagine those things aren't related.
Ugh.
There's like one really out of touch baby boomer there going like, these kids like these Mega Mans and these Sonics millions of dollars.
I don't know.
I think the Mario movie might be okay. I think Illumination's doing that.
They're doing another Mario movie?
Yeah.
Huh.
The guys that did the Minions.
Huh.
But I think it's an animated one, so it'll be fine.
Oh, hell yeah, that'll be sweet.
But Sonic is live action, whereas all they need to do is probably make an animated one in the style of the old animated cartoons. It probably would have been pretty good. Because Sonic for me, right, is shit when the world blurs between Morbius, which the original games were on, and the later games, which kind of bleed into our world. That's when it gets shit. It's unnecessary.
So anything after Sonic 3?
Yes.
And
Knuckles, actually.
And see, similarly, Mega Man turns to shit for me when it changes from 2D to 3D.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just absolute shit.
That also kind of happens to Sonic. I kind of like Sonic Unleashed on the levels where you could blitz through them in 3D and stuff. I kind of like that. Sonic Generations is really good.
I remember wanting to enjoy Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And then I got it and went, this game is shit.
People love it though.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's so bad.
That first year
I
of
think we played
Dreamcast
it,
was
didn't we?
really rough.
We unfortunately did.
Has anybody seen Froggy? Froggy.
That first year of Dreamcast was really rough. I remember buying a bunch of games and then being like, nope, take this out, return it, put back in my copy of Soul Calibur. Because, like, you remember we got, like, all the weird offshoot pseudo RPGs, like, Illbleed, or not Illbleed, oh, God. I can't even remember. There was one that had blue in the title, or Blue Stinger. And then there was a couple of other, like, just really awful sort of role-playing games, sort of like that bouncer genre of game, but they were just all terrible. I remember there was a Berserk game that was awful, and just, like, every time I bought one, like, oh, God, yeah, just put Soul
Ugh.
Calibur back in.
Oh,
Cleanse
Zach,
my
you mentioned
system.
you mentioned Soul Calibur there. We should totally play Soul Blade for the show at some point. That game is
Oh,
so good.
What is Soul Blade?
It's the first game in the Soul Calibur series called Soul Blade. I think it was called Soul Edge in some places.
Yeah, it was Soul
Yeah.
Edge here, wasn't it?
I can go find my copy and tell you in a second, but yeah, that is
So
Yeah,
good.
Soul Edge in North
Excellent game.
America. Oh wait, no. The
Excellent.
PlayStation version was renamed Soul Blade in North America, Europe, and Australia.
Okay.
It's not cheap to find a black label copy of that game, but it is totally worth your time. That fighting game has more single player content than about any other fighting game on the planet.
Yeah, it does. I used to play it to death, but I think I've actually still got it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent game. And Soul Calibur was just the titties. I think that was the first home conversion of an arcade game that looked and played better than the arcade version. So, I'd definitely be down with those. Excellent games all.
Oh, back to Mega
and-
Man.
And hey, Soul Calibur 6 comes out next week. Just saying.
Oh God. Zach, you have a copy of the Mega Man 11 30th Anniversary Collector's Guide, right?
I do.
Did you happen to look through the tail end of the book where they have the artist expose?
Oh gosh, yeah.
So page 292 in that guide, I flipped that open and went, holy shit. Our one of our previous hosts, or not hosts, but guests on the show, Rob Duenas from Sketchcraft is featured in that book.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I looked at that and went, I've got a bunch of his artwork on my walls.
Oh,
He's
that's
doing
great.
well for himself, that guy. He actually did one of the covers for Game Informer and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, we
for
actually
him.
did a giveaway with one of his in our, what was it, our Christmas box a couple years ago. No,
I don't think I was around then.
I actually
Oh,
have
maybe I was.
some original artwork from him. So I have his Final Fantasy VII series, and he sent me the original prints of it.
Wow.
So I got to get those framed.
Yeah. I remember at one point we asked him about doing us a new logo and stuff, but he was too busy.
Yeah, well, imagine he's even busier now. Zach, have you ever played the Mega Man Extreme games?
I tried.
Those are the porn ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the XX Extreme.
No. Yeah,
So
that was like
basically,
that BMX XXX game. It was just topless Mega Man and roll.
I loved that game.
Which stage should I do first? Lubricant Man?
Dildo Man,
Astroglide.
Jelly Man.
Fleshlight Man?
All of the pits in his stage are just fleshlights that go
Ribbed Condom Man?
Pleasure
But-
Man,
Butt plug. You take him on last.
Bead Man,
Butt plug man.
Nipple Clamp Man?
Diaphragm Man,
Giant butt plug man just has an ability called Ruin.
Deep Throat Man.
Sex Swing Man?
No, I
Gimp
didn't.
Man?
I did not get into the extreme games. How were they?
I haven't.
Water Sports Man?
Oh, Brazilian Wax Man.
Golden showers man. That's just. It's just pissiest.
2 Girls 1 Cup Man.
Boxing legend Mike Tyson, man.
Ghost attack, man.
That's a different kind of crimbo.
Splurge, man.
Oh yeah, man. Mega Man Extreme games are
Brown ballerina, man.
And the chocolate starfish.
Reach around, man.
Rusty trombone, man.
The purple oboe, man. I'm done. And he's gone.
Yes, the rest of the listeners not offended by Mike's menstruation joke are gone now.
Oh god. Mega Man Extreme games are I can't even think straight now.
That went downhill very quickly.
They're Game Boy Color versions of the Mega Man X games.
Yeah. Were they decent? Ports of those?
Fair to middling, I guess. Like 6, 7 out of 10.
I was about to say Game Boy Color was not really capable of emulating Nintendo. Yeah. That's a step down.
It kind of reuses stages, enemies, music from Mega Man X and X2.
Huh?
So there's only 2 Extreme games. I saw a couple copies of them at the store the other day and went, don't really want to play those.
Yeah, I understand. Even playing Mega Man X3 is a chore.
Yeah.
That's not a... And it's fine in that it's got Mega Man design, but it's a slog.
Yeah. And they don't have save states.
No.
Because the Anniversary Collection has save states. And then Anniversary Collection 2 doesn't. And I don't believe
good effort, guys.
I don't believe the X Collection has it either.
I have a hard time with those. I did pick one up, but even for Switch, which typically has really low latency, like the PlayStation 4 versions of those just killed me on the amount of button lag there was.
Yeah.
And Mega Man is just one of those games that I played so much that I have muscle memory for it, so I really do notice. I'm willing to bet 90% of people on Earth would not notice that, but if you play Mega Man consistently...
That's what happened to me with the Crash Bandicoot collection. When you played Crash 1.
Yeah, I bet.
Interesting that you bring that up. Not related to Mega Man, but we just had the same conversation about the Mario All-Stars cartridge having significant input lag. And Mike hadn't noticed it because he didn't really play those games growing up. But if you go back and you pop in an actual cartridge of Super Mario All-Stars, and yeah, it's a remade version of Mario 1, 2, and 3, there is noticeable input lag. And on a game like Mario that requires precision jumping, it breaks it for me. And I remember hating this game as a kid, and I couldn't understand why I hated it. But now that I'm older and I understand, it's button lag.
Yeah. And that's a challenge of putting anything older on a newer TV, and especially on modern consoles like the PlayStation 4 has, crazy amounts of built-in, baked-in effects like triple buffering VSync that can fundamentally change the way that older games play. And it's not that the developers are doing a shoddy job; it's just the platform makes it hard to play. So I kind of stayed away from the newest collection games because I did try the one on Switch because I know that typically with a 720p refresh, it's usually much better. But I even noticed it there for the Mega Man 1 collection.
I didn't notice it too much in the X collection, but I didn't grow up obsessing over those, so maybe I'm kind of in that same boat where I don't know any different.
Yeah, I'd read somewhere that the PlayStation 4 version lags behind the Xbox and the Switch version for Mega Man 11, but I'll be honest, I played the Switch version of it and I didn't really notice.
Huh.
So, and it could just be that it's a newer game, and I haven't put thousands of hours of my life into it, but
yeah,
you never know.
Huh.
I guess if I played one versus the other, I'd probably recognize it over a period of time. But it's worth noting to anybody that tries to play older games on newer TVs or consoles that's something you're kind of come to grips with. And in the case of like Mario All-Stars, you're right. It's a complete redraw of the game. It wasn't Miyamoto making it. So, I mean, they had different goals, I'm sure, for getting that game out the door, and one of them probably wasn't like pixel to pixel perfection. But God, people who play Mario 3, like my wife, we tried to play it on the Nintendo Online version, and just the buttons being mixed up and having like that half a
Ugh.
second lag, she was like, "This is fucking unplayable."
I can't.
And this
So
is my
I
wife who doesn't play games religiously, is like slamming controllers, like, "Fuck this."
I can't handle the button layout for the Switch Online NES games. Can't do it. Like I've
Yeah.
played almost none of them, and I get it. They wanted to keep B and A as appropriately B and A on the controller, but fuck that. Like it's just you can't run and jump when they're in that configuration.
Yeah. Well, the bottom two buttons, and I don't know if it's a fix or if like it was just that way and I didn't notice it, but the bottom two buttons are laid out right. If you're using a Pro controller, but I just the having the extra two buttons on top that basically are worthless to me or can screw me up. They
Yeah,
really
but
throw
see,
me
it
for
should
a
be
loop.
run as Y and B as jump, so that your thumb is
Yeah.
naturally resting that way,
Yeah.
and it's not. So I can't play
Yep.
it.
I guess
They're good.
No.
that's how they're justifying selling you a $60 wireless controller set,
Ugh.
which
I'll just buy one
no.
of those 8-bit duos for $30.
Yep, I use one. They're great.
Yeah. My Switch took a tumble this week. Speaking of
Eh,
Switches,
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
fucking cat. I went to check something out on the store.
Why is Tom's girlfriend attacking your...
Let me delete that previous joke about Mega Man's hair. Dan's joke about Tom's girlfriend is shitter.
I see
Thank
what
you.
you did there.
Thank you.
No, so one
Yeah.
morning, Christy heard a bunch of clattering downstairs and just didn't even think about it because our cats knock shit around all the time. And I went to find my Switch, which I have this big AV rack in my corner that has my PSVR on a stand and then my Switch up above because I don't want to put my Switch in a case because before I had some issues with the Joy-Con Joy-Con lag. So I keep it out so it's got direct line of sight. Well, my cat jumped off of this shelf I have high up on the wall, landed on there, and knocked my Switch off with the dock. So the dock fell down, tore the HDMI cable and the power cable out, and then landed on the ground on the Switch, bent the charging port inside the dock, and destroyed the joystick on my left Joy-Con. And then somehow
Yeah.
didn't just peel off the serial number, scratched the shit out of it like a quarter-inch into the console. But everything works fine, but I had to go and buy a single damn Joy-Con because of a cat for $40.
Ooh.
Oh, so you did get a single one in the end.
Yeah, I ended up getting one of the neon blues.
Good, because you got the grey, and I don't know why you chose the grey.
Because I bought the console when it came out, and they were
Where there was two options.
yeah, and the
which
gray
was red
one
or
was
blue or
easier
grey.
to get.
Made the wrong choice.
Nah, I made
You
the
could have
right
been
choice.
like me and gone for the blood red ones. I love those.
Oh, the Mario ones.
Yep.
Yeah, I could have, but
I hear they're actually going to start selling those separate in the U.S.
I think
I had to-
yeah.
I had to get mine from Japan, but can't yawn, by the way. That's contagious.
I know.
I got mine from Japan on the cheap from PlayAsia, but they were only included in the Super Mario bundle, I think, here, but they're getting ready to start selling them.
Gentlemen, should we move on to some questions?
Well, I think hold on.
Questions.
The takeaway from Mega Man
Oh yeah.
is that
It's shit.
Dan enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did.
That's all
Particularly
that's all I
triple
wanted.
extreme ones.
That's
Oh.
all I wanted. I just wanted you to come on and go, you know what, Eric? That wasn't terrible. And you came out and said that you liked it. So I'm
I
happy.
did. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Make fun of me all you want. I now have a sound clip of you saying you enjoyed Mega Man.
I quite often like the same games as you.
I
Now-
know.
Now you have to admit to Dan that you like Sonic.
I did with Sonic
He
Mania.
did like Sonic.
Oh, all right.
And I beat it. And I said, you
And
know
he
what?
also liked Pokemon.
Oh, I did. Pokemon Sun. Quite good. Didn't beat it, though. I was tempted to pull the, hey, Dan, I bought Sonic Mania. You should buy Mega Man 11 card. But
It is on my to-buy list at some point.
I think you would really like it, to be honest.
I tried the demo and wasn't that impressed, but now that I've gone through some more Mega Mans, I've given it another shake.
Yeah.
After Red Dead, though.
Oh, God.
Oh, It's so much of my life is about to disappear.
I like that. I like that picture that somebody posted in the group about Red Dead with the guy shooting the horses. You're like, this is Eric, isn't it?
Yes, it's like the perfect comic for your life.
The guy shoots the horse in the head, burns an orphanage, ties a nun to a track. And this lady's like, hey, there's Sugar looking for some company. No, ma'am, I'll have you know I took a vow to love one woman and be hers till ain't no more for this world. Walks away, ties her to the track, walks away, and shoots a horse.
Yeah, I'm an awful person.
It's
And
definitely going to be you. We
Like-
should have good fun with that when the online comes out.
But
Like, when I-
apparently... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like when I play Grand Theft Auto around my wife, like she chastises me. She's like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Because it's my world. Fuck these people.
Apparently,
I'm gonna go drive up the sidewalk."
I once sat with my girlfriend on Grand Theft Auto 5 and she managed to drive into a wall, couldn't do anything, and give up in disgust.
Hey, at least you got her to touch the controller. That's
Yeah.
a start. Apparently, you can't kill your own horse in Red Dead 2.
Of course you can.
Well, they put so much work into the ball physics. I mean,
That's
with
true.
the your horse genitalia swells with the weather. I'm glad somebody's thinking about that.
That's why Rockstar doesn't put games out very often. Guys, we need more features. What can we do? I don't know. Make his testicles expand.
That horse's asshole doesn't pucker
Hey, on
enough.
Metal Gear Solid 5, you could make the horse shit and slip people over. So,
Yes, but does his asshole turn inside out when he shits like a real horse? Because if it doesn't, then that's not attention to detail.
you know this.
There's like a middle manager out there that has like a prolapse checklist. Prolapsed, not enough, needs more prolapse. It's like got a slider. It's like an NPS chart for this horse's asshole.
Oh god, I just genuinely cannot wait for Red Dead 2. I know I talk a lot of shit about the first Red Dead because it's just not that good, but I'm really excited for 2.
It should be good. It should be real good.
I love westerns and I love video games that give me freedom. So this is like genuinely my Westworld moment.
This
it's
game
gonna
will
be it's gonna be
honestly
bad.
be a 0 out of 10 if I cannot be riding in a stagecoach and bullet my own horses in the back of the head mid-trot.
Well, but I think it's like Roach in The Witcher. You know, like you could mount any horse in The Witcher, but Roach was yours no matter what. So maybe it's like that.
Yeah, but see, when I would play the first one, my rule of thumb was when I would whistle and my horse would come, if he could make it to me without dying, then I would
was the
ride
rule.
him.
You see, like, remember when we played it online and you drove me crazy?
Because we'd never
Every
get
time
anywhere.
I called a horse, they got shot. And there was a cooldown period as well, so I'd just be running across the Wild West.
Do you remember when we used to play horse trap shooting, where we'd found
Yes.
this giant cliff and you'd have to run and jump off the cliff with your horse, and then the other person would have
God.
to shoot it before it hits the ground?
Yeah. Crazy.
I hope that game is as big and open a world as I hope it'll be, and I hope it steps up from Grand Theft Auto. Because basically, if you gave me Grand Theft Auto but in the Wild West, I'd be satisfied.
I
And
just
if you can
hope
give me
there's
anything on top of that, I'm good.
I just hope there's actually shit to do. That was my biggest complaint in the first game, is it was this big open Wild West world and not a damn thing to do. You had to absolutely love hunting and picking flowers.
No, hopefully
I
they've
did.
installed some agency then.
Yeah. Daniel, should we do questions?
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. Our first question comes from Mike Tyson, Mr. Christmas himself. Why do Mega Man games suck so much? I'm going to let Dan take this one.
They just do.
Shut up. They don't.
Mike has put a disclaimer saying, before I'm blasted to death, I've never even played a Mega Man game, so I can't actually have an opinion. I'm just trying to annoy Eric. I think he succeeded.
Mission accomplished.
Just to follow up Santos Lopez, it's very easy to go through life without playing Mega Man.
It's not. Well, it's easy to, but it's not enjoyable. Your life is clearly lesser because of it. Juliet Breslin Romano, 2 questions. Number 1, when I was younger, the only Mega Man I had access to was 6. As I got older, I heard a lot of people ragging on it for being too easy. When I got the earlier ones, they did seem much harder, and I know some of them are especially 1 and 2 when you couldn't slide, and there were many instances which I could have saved myself if that mechanic was available. But this also may have partially been due to the fact that I had put so much time into 6 as a child and mastered it, as opposed to starting with something completely new. Do you guys really think Mega Man 6 is a joke as a Mega Man game because it's too easy? I don't think so. I didn't find it super easy. I found it actually really refreshing compared to the 1 through 5.
Yeah, I've played Mega Man 6 not recently, but I don't remember it being necessarily like a cakewalk. I don't think I'd ever really describe a Mega Man game as that, unless you're talking about like some of the Game Boy Color silly versions. But
No, but there were some areas that you could cheese the game and use the jetpack to skip over stuff. But
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But
you know,
no, I wouldn't call it a cakewalk.
it's definitely not easy. I think it's enjoyable. It's definitely not difficult, like she said, as 1 or 2, but I think it kind of added a couple new mechanics to the game that made it enjoyable. I never really heard anybody rag on it, but I guess it's at that point though where the Mega Man series was kind of like starting to run its course, and then when 7 and 8 came out, people were like, yeah, this is turning kind of shit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Second question, what is your favorite, most useful Mega Man power-up that is not OP? Mine would be the Flame Man from 6. I love how you can shoot down. Get that, Dan, down!
Oh, holy shit.
Not up. Don't get ahead of yourself here. And I think it's cool how it allows you to access small sections of the Blizzard Man level that were inaccessible before.
I'm going to have to go with Leaf Shield for sheer versatility and the fact that I'm being attacked or protected by dried leaves.
Tea leaves. Trying to think, like, obviously I would say Metal Man, but that's super OP. I don't know. I like Dive Missile from Mega Man 4. Your little homing missile.
I like the Mega Buster.
What was Gemini Man's power called?
Oh,
Gemini Laser.
It's just Gemini Laser, but yeah, it would bounce around the wall.
Yeah, that was super useful. I don't remember it being terrifically OP either.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy Sanford, why is Sonic the Hedgehog so slow in this game? At least he can shoot lasers this time, 2 out of 5. Oh, Jeremy, you're so good. Santos Lopez, first off, a moment of silence for all the brain cells that died during this show. Okay, I know Eric was playing through all his old Mega Man games before the show, but did he play Mega Man and Mega Man 3 for the PC, which were not ports of their NES counterpart, but original games? Or does he ignore these games since Capcom was not directly involved in their creation?
I did not play those.
Oh, those games are so shit.
Yeah.
We need to find some copies of those. I didn't even think about that. Those games are awful, but in a wonderful way.
Genuine box art for it?
Yes. Oh, it's so bad.
Why does it look like a overgrown gorilla with light bulbs for shoulders and snakes for hair? Who the fuck is that?
I remember playing one of these on a DOS box when I was a kid and thinking, like, this game's literally, like, one of them, I don't remember which one it was, but one of them was literally impossible to pass because it had, like, a programming glitch to it. They were genuinely terrible. Didn't
Mega Man just look like a fat marshmallow doughboy in those?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and
look at this.
And, like, the screen size was off. Like, everything about it was not Mega Man. It was terrible.
That's awful.
Jeez.
Those are worth tracking down, especially I think those are kind of in the genre where you'd be lucky to find a box. I think most of those are like bagged, like old Ziploc bag style PC games, but yeah, the original Mega Man's, what a good call out, because those are terrible games.
Ugh. I mean, there were some bad Mega Man games, but yeah, I recall those being super bad.
Yeah, I mean, and as a collector, I can tell you that collecting bad games is kind of fun because typically they're very cheap. But the worse they get, the harder they are to find because most people have just flushed them directly down their toilet.
Mark Marchetti. So is Mega Man shooting lemons or flaming pee at these other robots? Follow-up question. Proto Man and Zero are clearly better robots, so why all the Mega Man love?
Because he's Mega Man.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, Proto Man's not superior because, as his name denotes, he is the prototype. He has a faulty power core, and he needs a shield to protect his weaknesses. Fuck him. He's the worst.
He has like an ascot too, or no, he
And
has
he
a neck
plays a
scarf. No.
whistle.
Yeah, no.
He plays a whistle. How manly is that?
Oh, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Mega Man is clearly better.
Yeah. Mega Man's just the best. And I don't get Zero and whatever. He's got long hair. I could just step on it and he'd trip. Fucking weirdo. Go wash your hair. Hippie. Take a bath.
Yeah, yeah, Mega Man is just always going to hold a place in my like 10 or 11-year-old heart because it was one of the first Nintendo games I really played. And it's like Metroid for me. Like it was one of the games that taught me that video games were going to be different than they had been in the past.
Yeah. Well, the first game kind of started off to be more traditional. Where, like, you have a score at the top. Why? Because you have a score.
Yep,
It doesn't do anything, but you have a score.
because score.
Yeah. Last question, Corbin LV. How do you feel about the remakes, especially on the Switch? Also, are you going to sing your love of the 3D titles? Lastly, I think you prefer the originals to the X series, but maybe talk on that a bit. The remake, well, not necessarily remakes, but just re-releases. I think it's great because it's bringing Mega Man into more people's hands and making it much more accessible because this is kind of a series that before the anniversary collections was just locked into the original console and
Super expensive.
super expensive. Yeah, very, very expensive. A couple of them are coming down in price. Mega Man 5 and 6, 5 has skyrocketed in price. Whew.
Yeah. Even like the Mega Man collections for like the GameCube era is super expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
for what it is, it's a collection game and it sells for like $40. Give me a break.
Yeah. The 3D titles, fuck no. I can't stand those games.
Including all of the X 3D games.
Ugh. They're just bad.
X4.
Legends 2.
I want to play him.
No.
Oh, they're bad.
It's so bad, Dan.
I don't
And
know
not-
how to play.
And not in a
love
good way.
Mega Man, but it's so bad.
It's been like a Daikatana way.
Yeah. It's just sadomasochism at its best. It's like, let's take something really good and just cover it in shit and then release it.
And for no reason other than the sake of reason.
Mega Man doesn't
need-
need to be an RPG.
Why does he have upgrades in Mega Man 11?
Because
Yes, but
he's
they're
a
not
robot,
role-playing
and robots are naturally upgradable. Nobody plays Mega Man for the story, and that's all Mega Man Legends is. Go to town and talk to people.
Watch Mega Man on TV, on your TV, playing as Mega Man.
Who's the... And it's not really even the same... It's not even the same Mega Man. It's... I gotta pull it up here because I can't think of his name or what kind of character he is. Mega Man Volnit. He's a mining robot.
He's just got a title. He's bullshit Mega Man.
Mega Man Volnit was known as Mega Man Trigger. Trigger's primary focus was a purifier unit. Basically, he just cleaned stuff. Can't stand him. Just scrub him from existence. I do prefer the originals to X, and that's because I grew up with those. I do really enjoy the X games, but I feel like those were kind of cresting into a time in my life when I didn't have the money to buy more games and was in a different phase in life. And X2 and 3 really, even at the time, were kind of hard to come across.
X3 was a rental only.
Really?
Eh, it was only for rent at Blockbuster. That's why it's so hard to come by and rare.
Why did they do that?
They never actually released a retail copy?
No, I mean there was a retail copy, but I think they all wound up with Blockbuster.
Huh.
Bastards.
I mean, I had X1 when it first came out and loved it, but after that I just kind of stopped playing the new Mega Mans that came out.
Yeah,
Good.
Originals are better.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it at that. They're just better. That's why I like them.
That's right. Dickhole, next question.
Gangbang Man?